I woke up after the car accident, but the female CEO had gone mad. Dr. Ethan, you're awake. The glaring white light made me squint uncomfortably. The nurse's excited voice rang in my ear. I looked around bewildered, my head aching as if struck by a hammer. W.A., where am I? You're in the hospital. You were in a car accident 3 days ago and have been unconscious until now, the nurse said as she checked the monitors. I'll go notify Lawyer Taylor right away. Lawyer Taylor? I frowned, trying to remember, but my mind was a blank. 10 minutes later, a woman in a haute couture suit pushed the door open. Her makeup was impeccable, her features cool and striking, but there were faint dark circles of fatigue beneath her eyes. You finally woke up. She stood by the bed, her tone as flat as if commenting on the weather. I studied her, this woman both strange and familiar. Who are you? She froze for a moment, then frowned. Ethan, don't play games with me. What games? I was more puzzled. I really don't know you. The woman's expression changed. She hurried to the bedside and scrutinized my eyes. You really don't remember me? Sorry, should I know you? I'm Sophia, your wife. She paused, then added, we've been married for 3 years. Married? 3 years? I stared in shock at the cold woman before me. If she really was my wife, why does she look at me as if I were a stranger? The attending physician arrived soon after, and, after a series of examinations, diagnosed me with traumatic amnesia, having lost nearly 3 years of memory. So his memory is stuck 3 years ago? Sophia asked. Yes. According to the tests, Dr. Ethan's memory is stuck at when he was 25. The doctor flipped through the medical record, but this kind of amnesia can be temporary. The exact recovery time varies from person to person. Sophia glanced at me and said to the doctor, I understand. Thank you. After the doctor left, only the two of us remained in the ward. The atmosphere grew awkward. Since you're my wife, I asked tentatively, can you tell me what happened in the past 3 years? Sophia sat on the chair at the bedside, her long legs crossed. We met 3 years ago during a medical dispute case. You were the expert witness for the defense, and I was the plaintiff's lawyer. After the case ended, we started dating and married 6 months later. Is that all? I felt her account was too brief. Yes. She glanced at her watch. I have an important meeting this afternoon. Get some good rest. Wait, I called out to her as she was about to leave. I remember I was supposed to be doing my residency at Johns Hopkins Hospital. How am I here? Sophia's steps faltered. You gave it up. Gave it up. I couldn't believe it. That was the opportunity one dreamed of. For me. She turned around, her expression complicated. You said you didn't want a long-distance relationship and chose to stay in the country. I was stunned. The advanced training opportunity at Johns Hopkins was something I had fought for years to obtain. Why give that up for a woman? Where am I working now? City Hospital. Her voice was soft. An ordinary attending physician. An ordinary attending physician? I remembered that 3 years ago, I was already the youngest associate chief physician at the state hospital, with boundless prospects. I have to get back to work. Sophia picked up her bag. Your colleagues will come see you tomorrow. You can ask them about the details. Watching her walk away, I fell into thought. Is this cold woman really my wife? Would I really give up everything for her? After being discharged, I returned to what was said to be our home. A luxury apartment in the city center. Pushing the door open, I was met with an ultra-minimalist black, white, and gray decor with not a trace of life. On the photo wall in the living room were only a few pictures of the two of us, mostly from formal occasions. Even the wedding photos felt formulaic. You're back. Sophia emerged from the study, a stack of papers in her hand. This is our home. I looked around, feeling like I'd moved into a model apartment. What's wrong? She flipped through the documents without looking up. It has no warmth, I said bluntly. Only now did she look up at me. Temperature? Ethan, you never cared about those things before you lost your memory. Is that so? I walked up to her. Then what did I care about before? Work. Her answer stunned me. To be precise, my work. You would help me organize case files, accompany me for overtime, and drive me to and from work. I frowned. Sounds more like your assistant. Sophia smiled, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. You chose that yourself. Dinner was takeout. We sat facing each other, the atmosphere awkward to the point of suffocation. I'm going back to work at the hospital tomorrow. I broke the silence. The city hospital's work isn't tiring. 9 to 5, she said lightly. It will suit taking care of the family. Take care of the house? I looked at this cold, empty place and couldn't see what was worth caring for. My phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. Ethan? I'm Vivian. I heard you were in a car accident. A concerned female voice came from the other end of the line. Vivian, the name sounded vaguely familiar. Senior, you don't even remember me? The other party's voice held surprise and worry. I'm your junior sister. We worked together at the state hospital for 3 years. So was a former colleague. I was about to chat a little more when Sophia suddenly stood up. I'm going to the study to work. After she left, Vivian continued. Senior brother, are you really amnesiac? Do you still remember the difficult heart surgery we did together? What surgery? The 10-hour Marfan syndrome surgery. It caused a sensation throughout the hospital at the time. You were the lead surgeon, and I was your assistant. I tried hard to recall, and some blurry images surfaced in my mind. Yes, I remember that operation. It was the pinnacle of my career. What happened after that? Vivian was silent for a moment. After that, you got married and resigned to go to the city hospital. What? Senior, there are some things not convenient to talk about on the phone. How about I come see you at the hospital tomorrow? I hung up the phone and fell into thought. Obviously, a lot had happened in the past 3 years, and my wife clearly didn't want to tell me the truth. Late at night, I scrolled through the photos on my phone. Strangely, there were pitifully few pictures from the past 3 years. Most were of Sophia at work, and the occasional ones of me were all taken at home. I pushed open the study door. Sophia was still working. Not going to sleep yet. She looked up at me. Almost done. I have a question, I said, walking to her desk. Are we in love? Her fingers paused for a moment. Then she continued typing. Of course. Then why can't I feel it? Sophia finally stopped what she was doing, looked up and stared at me. Ethan, there are many ways to show love. Not everyone needs sweet words. But enough. She cut me off. You have amnesia. It's normal that you can't remember many things. But please don't question our marriage. Her reaction made me even more puzzled. If we truly loved each other, why behave with such coldness? The next day, I returned to the city hospital. My colleagues' attitudes were strange. Outwardly cordial, but whispering behind closed doors. I vaguely heard phrases like, what a pity, and he was so outstanding before. During rounds, a young doctor quietly said to a nurse, Dr. Ethan used to be the rising star of the state hospital, and now sigh. For his wife, probably. The nurse lowered her voice. I heard his wife is formidable, a partner at a top law firm. So what? She doesn't take him seriously at all. At the last department dinner, her husband kept taking call after call, and she walked out without a word. I pretended not to hear, but it stirred something inside me. At noon, Vivian arrived as promised. Senior, her eyes were a little red. You really don't remember anything? We found a quiet place to sit. Vivian told me that 3 years ago, I was the youngest associate chief of cardiac surgery at the state hospital, had just secured a fellowship spot at Johns Hopkins, and my future looked bright. You were full of drive back then, the idol of all of us. Her eyes shone. But after you met Sophia, everything changed. What changed? She was a workaholic. To match her schedule, you gave up the fellowship, resigned your associate chief position, and came here to work as an ordinary doctor. Vivian bit her lip. Senior brother, do you know how many people felt sorry for you at the time? I fell silent. And she trailed off. What else? There is someone named Samuel by her side. He was her senior in college, and they were very close. The circle is all saying. Saying what? Nothing. Vivian shook her head. Senior, what's past is past. The important thing is you now have a chance to choose again. After work, I didn't go straight home. I went to the state hospital. Standing at the entrance to cardiothoracic surgery, watching the busy medical staff, a sense of familiarity washed over me. This is where my battlefield really is. Ethan, a middle-aged doctor, approached. Is that really you? I heard you lost your memory. Dr. Brown. I recognized him. He was my former boss. Come, sit in my office for a bit. Dr. Brown told me that when I suddenly resigned back then, he had tried hard to persuade me to stay, but to no avail. You said you wanted to sacrifice for love. I tried to tell you that you could have both a career and love, but you wouldn't listen, he sighed. What a great future wasted. When I left the state hospital, it was already dark. Back home, Sophia was surprisingly waiting for me in the living room. Where did you go? She asked. The state hospital. I didn't hide it. She frowned. What are you going there for? To get back what's mine. I looked her in the eye. Sophia, I want to return to work at the state hospital. No, she refused without a second thought. Why? Your current job is good, stable, no overtime, and you can take care of the family. Take care of what family? I looked around the cold, clinical house. Take care of your job. Sophia stood up. Ethan, you've changed. No, I've changed back to myself. I walked up to her. I don't want to be your accessory anymore. Accessory? She sneered. That was your choice too. That was the old me, I said firmly. The me now will choose anew. That night, we had our first intense argument. She said I was selfish, neglecting the family. I said she was selfish, only caring about herself. In the end, she slammed the door and went into the study. I lay alone on the living room sofa. Marriage shouldn't be like this. In the days that followed, Sophia and I fell into a cold war. She still left early and returned late, and I began preparing to retake the assessment for the state hospital. After a 3-year gap, I had a lot to cram. That afternoon, the hospital suddenly sent an emergency case, a patient with an aortic dissection in critical condition. Ethan, doctor, come and see, the nurse called me anxiously. I checked the patient's condition and immediately grasped the severity of the problem. Prepare for surgery now. But the city hospital doesn't have a cardiothoracic surgery chief, and the other doctors all say the risk is too great. Then I'll do it. I decided on the spot. The operation lasted 4 hours. When I came out of the operating room, my colleagues' expressions had all changed. Dr. Ethan, you're incredible. Hospitals usually wouldn't dare take on a surgery of this difficulty. Yeah, I heard even the specialists at the state hospital might not be confident. I took off my surgical gown, a long-forgotten sense of accomplishment welling up inside me. This is what I'm meant to do. That evening when I got home, I was surprised to find Sophia already there, and the dining table was filled with dishes. You did this? I asked in surprise. Ordered takeout. She pointed to the food containers. Sit down, eat, and talk. At the table, she took the initiative to speak. I heard you had a major operation today. Your colleagues are all praising you. She paused. Actually, I've always known you were excellent. I put down my chopsticks. Then why do you want me to give up? Sophia was silent for a long time. Because I need you. Need me for what? To have you by my side? To support my career? She looked me in the eye. Ethan, I'm a very selfish person. This was the first time she had been so candid. When you're going to the U.S. for further study, I was very anxious. A year apart, anything could happen. So I persuaded you to stay. Persuaded? I said with a bitter smile. With what did you persuade me? She looked away. With love. I see. I leaned back in the chair and suddenly felt a sharp irony. Sophia, do you know what true love is? She looked at me, her eyes somewhat dazed. It's about enabling, not possessing. I stood up. If you really love me, you should support my dreams, not crush them. Just then her phone rang. Hello, Samuel? She picked up the phone, her voice instantly softening. Okay, I know. See you tomorrow. I watched her hang up with a cold gaze. Who is Samuel? My senior from school, and also a work partner. She said it as if it were nothing. That's all. What do you mean? She frowned. Nothing. I turned and walked toward the bedroom. I'm tired. Her voice came from behind. Ethan, were you doubting? I stopped, turned back to look at her. I'm wondering whether this marriage is necessary at all. At that moment, I clearly saw a flicker of panic in her eyes. But she quickly regained her coldness. Think whatever you want. That weekend, Sophia was to attend an important charity gala and demanded I accompany her. Why do I have to go? I asked. Clients all bring family members. I can't be an exception. She said this while doing her makeup. I looked at her in the mirror. The delicate makeup couldn't hide the tiredness under her eyes. Have you been overworking recently? Her hand paused. Concern about me? After all, you're my wife. She smiled, but the smile was somewhat bitter. Thank you. The banquet was held at a 5-star hotel. Sophia changed into a black evening gown, so elegant it took one's breath away. Beautiful, I said sincerely. She paused for a moment, then looked away. We should go. At the banquet, I saw another side of Sophia. She chatted and laughed effortlessly, completely at ease, the center of attention. And I could only stand beside her, like a mere ornament. Sophia. A tall, handsome man walked over. You truly outshine everyone tonight. Samuel. Sophia showed the first genuine smile of the evening. So this was Samuel. I sized him up. He really was impressive. Who is this? Samuel looked at me. My husband, Ethan Johnson. Sophia introduced. Nice to meet you. Samuel reached out his hand, but his gaze clearly showed contempt. I took his hand, hello. For the next while, Samuel kept orbiting around Sophia. They talked about law, investments, and mutual friends, and I couldn't get a word in. Sophia, we need to get ready for that cross-border M&A next week, Samuel said. We might have to work overtime for several days. No problem. Sophia answered without hesitation. I couldn't help but speak up. I might have to go back to the state hospital for an interview next week. Sophia frowned. When did this happen? Just decided. Samuel interjected. Dr. Ethan, are you going to make a grand comeback? But wasn't the city hospital job pretty easygoing? Being idle too long makes you rusty. I looked him squarely in the eye. People need to have some ambitions. You're right. Samuel smiled. But some opportunities, once missed, are hard to come by again. The state hospital, 3 years of a gap. That's probably not easy, right? There was venom in his words. I was about to retort when Sophia held me back. Let's go sit over there. When we reached a corner, she whispered, Ignore him. Are you too close? College classmates. Now we have business dealings. Is that all? She looked up at me. What are you trying to say? Nothing. I looked away. I just think you two make a good match. Ethan, she raised her voice. What, did I say something wrong? I sneered. High education, same industry, common language. They really are well matched. Are you jealous? She suddenly asked. Jealous? I shook my head. I've just come to see the reality clearly. As he spoke, the large screen in the hall suddenly lit up and began to play the items for the charity auction. Next is tonight's highlight, the host said, a pair of rare blue diamond earrings donated by the Black Group. Starting bid $1 million. The bidding began, and Samuel was the first to raise his paddle. $2 million. $3 million. The price soared. In the end, Samuel bought the earrings for $8 million. Congratulations, Mr. Black, the host said. May I ask which lovely lady these earrings are for? Samuel stood up and looked at Sophia. For my most admired partner, Miss Sophia. The entire room erupted. Everyone's gazes focused on us. Sophia obviously hadn't expected it either. She stood there stunned, at a loss. As for me, I finally understood what it meant to be publicly slapped in the face. Samuel, what do you mean by this? Sophia stood up, her voice cold as ice. Don't get me wrong, it's just a gift between friends. Samuel smiled. Mr. Ethan won't mind, will he? Everyone looked at me, waiting for my reaction. I stood up and said calmly, of course I mind. The atmosphere became awkward for a while. Sophia is my wife. Such an extravagant gift is inappropriate. I looked at Samuel. Please take it back. Mr. Ethan is being stingy. Samuel said provocatively, but then again, your incomes are worlds apart. Samuel, Sophia sharply admonished. I clenched my fist, struggling to control my emotions. Income isn't a measure of a person's worth. At least I know my limits. Sense of proportion? Samuel sneered. Then tell me, Mr. Ethan, what kind of sense is it to let your wife fight alone in her career while you hide away in a small hospital and live a comfortable life. Enough, Sophia suddenly snapped. Samuel, this is my family matter. None of your business. She grabbed my hand. Let's go. After leaving the venue and getting into the car, Sophia remained silent. I'm sorry, she said suddenly. Why apologize? Samuel went too far. She looked out the window. I didn't expect him to act like that. What exactly is your relationship with him? I asked directly. They're classmates and collaborators. He likes you. That is not a question. Sophia fell silent. And you? I continued. What do you feel about him? Ethan, we're husband and wife. This is not the answer. She turned to look at me, her expression complicated. I don't know. Don't know? I sneered. Sophia, you're a lawyer. You should know what honesty means. I am honest. She raised her voice. I admit Samuel is excellent. We have a lot in common, but that doesn't mean anything. But you've never refused his advances. That's because it's necessary for work. Work requires you to accept an $8 million gift. Sophia was left speechless. Back home, I went straight into the study and began polishing my resume. Since I decided to return to the state hospital, I had to give it my all. At 2 a.m, Sophia knocked and came in. Still not sleeping? Preparing my interview materials. I didn't look up. She walked to the table and put down a cup of hot milk. Have something to drink. I looked at her in surprise. As far as I could recall, this was the first time she had shown concern for me on her own. Ethan, she sat opposite me. If you really want to go back to the state hospital, I won't object. Really, She lowered her head. I've been too selfish. Why did you suddenly change your mind? She forced a smile. What Samuel said tonight was excessive, but there's one thing he was right about. I didn't neglect your feelings. It was the first time in 3 years that she admitted she was wrong. Sophia, I put down my pen. Can we talk properly? What to talk about? Let's talk about our marriage. I looked at her seriously. Do you think there's still love between us? She was stunned, and after a long time said, I don't know what love is. Then why did you get married? Because it was suitable. Her voice was soft. You were willing to change for me, support my career, and not interfere with my work. So I was just a suitable choice? No. She hurriedly denied it, but couldn't explain further. I stood up and walked to the window. Sophia, if marriage is only about being suitable, then what meaning does it have? She was silent for a long time, and finally only said, I'm sorry. That night, neither of us slept. Early the next morning, I received a call from Vivian. Senior brother, I've heard about what happened last night. Her voice carried concern. Are you okay? You're really well informed. The whole circle is talking about it. She paused. Do you want to go out and talk? I thought for a moment and agreed. In the cafe, Vivian looked worried. Senior, that Samuel went too far. He humiliated you in public. He's not entirely wrong. I smiled wryly. I did waste 3 years. That wasn't your fault, Vivian said excitedly. It was Sophia who was selfish. She doesn't really love you. She just needs an obedient husband. Vivian, I stopped her. She's my wife. But she doesn't deserve you. Vivian's eyes reddened. Brother, do you know how much I've worried about you these past 3 years? Watching you go from a brilliant, proud young doctor to a mediocre person. I finished for her. No, you'll never be ordinary. She grabbed my hand. Senior brother, leave her. Start over. I stared blankly at the excited girl in front of me, then suddenly realized something. Vivian, you. Her face flushed. She hurriedly let go of my hand. Sorry, I lost my composure. Vivian, I'm already married, but your marriage is a mere formality. She lifted her head, eyes resolute. Senior brother, I've waited for you 3 years. I can wait longer. So she had feelings for me. Silly girl. I sighed, not worth it. Worth it. Tears welled in her eyes. You have no idea how exceptional you are. Back then, on the operating table, you seemed to be glowing. I fell silent. Indeed, only on the operating table did I feel alive. Senior brother, Dr. Brown said that as long as you're willing to return, the deputy director position in cardiothoracic surgery is still yours. Really? Of course. Everyone's looking forward to you coming back, she said excitedly. The state recently introduced the Da Vinci robotic system and urgently needs experts like you. Da Vinci system? My eyes lit up. That's the device cardiothoracic surgeons dream of. I'll give it serious consideration. Leaving the cafe, I went straight to the state hospital. Dr. Brown was very happy to see me. Ethan, I knew you'd come back. Dr. Brown, the deputy director position. I'll always leave one for you. He patted my shoulder. Over these 3 years, we've tried several people. None compare to you. He showed me around the newly introduced equipment and described the latest technological advances. Each one made my blood boil with excitement. So, feeling tempted, Dr. Brown asked with a smile. To be honest, very tempted. Then come back. The hospital needs you. The patients need you. As he spoke, the ER sent word that a child with a complex congenital heart defect needed emergency surgery. Perfect timing. Let me show you our team, Dr. Brown said. Outside the operating room, I watched the busy medical staff, a wave of familiarity washing over me. Dr. Ethan, a young doctor recognized me. It's really you. You're back. Soon, more and more people gathered around. Dr. Ethan, you're finally back. Yes, we've all been hoping for this. With you here, we feel reassured. At that moment, I regained my sense of worth. That evening at home, Sophia was unusually busy in the kitchen. Are you cooking? I asked in surprise. Try it. She looked a little embarrassed. It might not taste very good. A few simple homemade dishes were set on the table. The presentation was indeed ordinary. Have a taste. She looked at me expectantly. I picked up a piece of braised pork, and the moment it entered my mouth, it was very salty. But looking at the hopeful look in her eyes, I swallowed and said, not bad. Really? Her eyes lit up. It tastes more like home than takeout. We ate this meal very quietly, but the atmosphere was much more relaxed than before. I went to the state hospital today, I said. Her chopsticks paused for a moment. How did it go? Dr. Brown said the associate director position is still being held for me. That's good, she said, her tone betraying no emotion. Sophia, you really don't mind? She put down her chopsticks and looked at me intently. Ethan, I thought about it all night. You're right. True love is about letting go, not possession. So go after your dreams. She smiled. I'll support you. The shift was so sudden I could hardly believe it. Why? Because, she paused. I don't want to lose you. At that moment, I saw a vulnerability in her eyes I had never seen before. I've been thinking all night. If one day you really left, what would I do? She lowered her head. The answer is, I would be very afraid. Sophia, I know I'm not a good wife. She laughed bitterly. I can't cook. I don't know how to take care of anyone. I don't even understand what love is. But Ethan, these past 3 years, coming home and seeing you every day has made me feel so at ease. This was the first time she had expressed her feelings so honestly. But you never showed it, because I didn't know how to show it. She forced a smile. All my life I've been used to being independent, used to being strong, used to not relying on anyone. Including your husband? Especially my husband. She looked up at me. I'm afraid of depending on someone. I'm afraid of losing myself. So I pushed you far away and built high walls with work. I see. Suddenly, I understood her indifference. But last night, when Samuel humiliated you like that, I suddenly realized I was wrong. Her eyes were a little watery. I always thought keeping my distance would protect me. But in truth, I pushed away the person who loves me most. How do you know I love you the most? Because only you were willing to give up everything for me. Tears finally slipped down. And I have never done anything for you. I handed over a tissue. It's not too late to realize it now. She wiped her tears and suddenly asked, Ethan, if you could choose again, would you still marry me? I thought for a moment. Yes. Why? You clearly could have better options. Because besides you, I don't want anyone. I said seriously, although you're cold, selfish, and oblivious to romance for some reason, I just love you. She wiped her tears and laughed. Is that supposed to be a sweet nothing? That's the truth, I suppose. That night we talked a lot. About the past, about the future, about the problems between us. Ethan, give me a chance to start over, okay? She asked before sleep. I looked at her hopeful eyes and my heart softened. Okay. On Monday morning, I formally submitted my resignation to the city hospital. The director looked regretful. Dr. Ethan, are you unhappy working here? No. I just want to return to a position that's more suited to me. Sigh. I knew we couldn't keep you, the director sighed. Talent like you really shouldn't be buried here. When my colleagues found out, they all came to say goodbye. Dr. Ethan, we really hate to see you go. Yeah, what will we do about difficult surgeries from now on? It turned out that, without me even realizing it, I had already become their backbone. In the afternoon, I went to the state hospital to complete my onboarding formalities. The personnel department had specially arranged a small welcome party for me. Welcome home, my colleagues applauded enthusiastically. Seeing the familiar faces, my eyes grew a little wet. Yes, I was home. Dr. Brown announced on the spot, starting tomorrow, Ethan will officially serve as Deputy Director of Cardiac Surgery, responsible for the clinical application of the Da Vinci robotic system. Thunderous applause. Vivian was the first to rush over. That's great, senior brother. We can work together again. Seeing how excited she was, I felt a little worried. I hope she can handle her feelings properly. That night, I deliberately went home early to tell Sophia the good news. I opened the door and found guests in the house. Samuel, he sat on the sofa, holding a wine glass with the air of a host. Dr. Ethan is back. He rose gracefully. Congratulations on returning to the state hospital. What are you doing here? Talk business. Sophia came out of the study. We need to discuss the new merger. Discuss it at home? I frowned. Something came up. She explained. Samuel smiled, sorry to intrude, but we'll be done shortly. I checked my watch, 7 in the evening. Talk business at this hour? You two continue, I'll go make dinner. I turn and head into the kitchen. Their discussion follows me from behind. I don't understand the technical terms, but I can sense their seamless coordination. Half an hour later, Samuel takes his leave. Sophia, see you tomorrow. He gave me a meaningful look. Dr. Ethan, I wish you all the best at the state hospital. After he left, I asked Sophia, does he do this often? What? He comes to the house to talk about work. She paused for a moment. Occasionally, when there's an emergency. Don't see him at home anymore, I said directly. What? I don't like that. She was silent for a moment. Okay. At dinner, I told her about starting the new job. That's great. She was genuinely happy for me. When do you start officially? Tomorrow. So soon. The hospital is short-staffed. I paused. I may have to work overtime often, even take night shifts. It doesn't matter. She held my hand. This is your career, I support you. Seeing her so earnest warmed my heart. Sophia, thank you. For what? She lowered her head bashfully. I'm just learning how to be a proper wife. In that moment, I believed our marriage still had hope. During the first week back at the state hospital, I practically lived there. The new equipment needed getting used to, the new team needed time to gel, and there were backlog surgeries waiting to be scheduled. Director Ethan, here are today's surgical schedules. The head nurse handed over a stack of files. Thank you. I flipped through them. 2 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, and an emergency on-call tonight. Thank you for your hard work, she said anxiously. You just got back. Do you need some time to adjust? No, I can't wait. I really can't wait. 3 years of blankness. I must make up for it with twice the effort. The first operation was a difficult one. A child with a complex tetralogy of Fallot. Take your positions. I stood before the operating table. The familiar feeling had returned. Begin. For hours later, the surgery was successfully completed. Beautiful, Dr. Brown exclaimed from the observation room. Your technique is just as precise. The next few surgeries also went smoothly. In the evening, just as I was about to finish work, the ER called. Director Ethan, the ER has sent in a patient with a ruptured aortic dissection, critically unstable. I'm on my way. Time is life in this kind of surgery. Prepare the operating room. Notify anesthesiology. Gather the staff. I shouted as I ran and gave orders. The patient was a 40-year-old man, and his condition was indeed critical. Blood pressure 60/40ths, heart rate 130, hypovolemic shock. Start transfusion immediately. Prepare extracorporeal circulation. The operation lasted 6 hours. When the final stitch was tied, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. "It's a success," the young doctor said excitedly. I smiled tiredly. This feeling of saving someone from danger is truly wonderful. I stepped out of the operating room. It was already 2 in the morning. Surprisingly, Sophia was waiting in the lounge. "Why are you here?" "Worried about you." She handed me a thermos cup. "Have some hot soup." I took the thermos, feeling a warmth inside. "Have you been waiting long?" "It's nothing. I handled some documents in the car." Looking at her tired face, I felt a bit guilty. "You don't have to wait for me anymore. You should go back and rest first." "I am willing to wait," she said earnestly. "You've waited for me countless times before. Now it's my turn." On the way home, she was driving and I fell asleep in the front passenger seat. Half awake, I heard her whisper, "Ethan, seeing you on the operating table, I finally understand why you love this job. You were shining." The next morning, I woke up to a note by my pillow. "Breakfast is on the table. Remember to eat. I'll be home late today. You don't need to wait for me. Love, you're Sophia." I smiled as I looked at her neat handwriting. She was trying hard to change, I could see that. However, just when everything seemed to be getting better, an accident shattered the calm. That afternoon, I had just finished surgery when a nurse told me someone was looking for me. "Who?" "A lady, said to be a friend of your wife." "Who could it be?" I walked to the reception room and saw a woman I didn't recognize. "Hello, I'm Ethan Johnson." The woman sized me up, her expression complicated. "I'm Jessica, Samuel's ex-girlfriend." "Samuel's ex-girlfriend? What does she want from me? Is there something wrong?" She took a deep breath. "I'm here to warn you. Be careful of Samuel. He won't let Sophia go." "What do you mean?" 5 years ago, when I was dating Samuel, he could never forget Sophia," she said with a bitter smile. "In his heart, Sophia is his true love." I frowned. "So what?" "Sophia is my wife." "You don't know Samuel," she shook her head. "He is extremely arrogant. He will stop at nothing to get what he wants." "What exactly are you trying to say?" "Be careful with your marriage." She stood up. "Samuel is already in motion." After speaking, she left me with a meaningful look and turned to leave. I stood where I was, a bad feeling welling up inside me. That evening when I got home, Sophia still hadn't returned. I called her. It rang a long time before she picked up. "Hello." The background noise was very loud. "Where are you?" "At a social engagement, an important client." Her voice sounded a little tired. "I might be back late." "Oh, be careful." After hanging up, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. 11 o'clock. Sophia still hadn't returned. I called again. This time her phone was switched off. Worried, I called her assistant. "Where is Attorney Taylor tonight?" "At the Hilton," the assistant said, "but it should have ended a while ago." I immediately drove to the Hilton. At the hotel, the front desk told me the banquet had indeed ended. As I was looking around, I saw Samuel's car. He was helping a very drunk Sophia into the car. "Stop." "I rushed over." Samuel turned back, a flicker of panic crossing his face. "Dr. Ethan, where are you taking her?" "Sophia is drunk. I'll take her home." "No need, I'll get her." I stepped forward to help Sophia. She leaned drowsily against Samuel. "Samuel, don't go." My heart sank. "See, she needs me," Samuel said smugly. "She is my wife." I forcibly pulled Sophia over. "Ethan." She opened her hazy eyes. "What are you doing here?" "I'll take you home." "I'm not going back." She pushed me away. "I need to talk to Samuel about the project." "Sophia, you're drunk." "I'm not drunk," she staggered. "Samuel, let's keep talking." Looking at her drunken state, I felt a mix of emotions. "Dr. Ethan," Samuel leaned in, lowering his voice. "It seems Sophia needs me more." I clenched my fist, forcing down my anger. "Samuel, don't go too far." "Too far," he sneered. "You're the one who's overconfident. Do you really think Sophia loves you?" "Shut up. What she needs is a business partner, not a doctor who only knows how to operate." I was about to lose it when Sophia suddenly vomited. With no time to argue with him, I hurriedly supported her. Let's go, I'll see you back. Samuel said hypocritically. No need. I crossed my arms and picked Sophia up. Stay away from my wife. Back home, I settled her on the bed. She was still talking nonsense. Samuel, the project must not fail. Hearing those words, I felt very uncomfortable. Even when drunk, she was still thinking about work, still thinking about Samuel. I wiped her face, changed her clothes, and sat at the bedside in a daze. Jessica was right. Samuel wouldn't let go easily. And Sophia, what exactly were her feelings for Samuel? In the early morning, Sophia woke up. My head hurts. She pressed her forehead. I handed over the sobering medicine and water. Take these and you'll feel better. Thanks. She took the medicine. Did I drink too much last night? Sorry, I rarely act like this. She said apologetically. That client last night was especially difficult and kept persuading me to drink. Samuel is here too? She was taken aback. He arrived later. Oh, sensing my mood, she explained. Ethan, Samuel and I really are just colleagues. Is that so? I looked at her. But you kept calling his name when you were drunk. Her expression changed. What did I say? You said you wanted to discuss the project with him, not let him go. That was just work. Her voice grew quieter. I stood up. Sophia, I'm tired. Ethan, I'm going to the study to sleep. That night, I didn't sleep at all. I believe Sophia has feelings for me, but the place Samuel holds in her heart is something she may not even understand herself. Over the next few days, Sophia and I were in a cold war. She tried to explain several times, but I avoided her. It wasn't out of spite. I needed time to think. At the hospital, I devoted all my energy to work. Ethan, director, here's the list of new equipment requests. The secretary handed over the documents. All right, I'll take a look. While reviewing, his phone rang. It was an unknown number. Dr. Ethan? This is Jessica. It's her again. Is something wrong? Can we meet to talk? About Samuel. I hesitated for a moment, then agreed. In the cafe, Jessica got straight to the point. Samuel is currently acquiring a medical group. What's that got to do with me? That group is preparing to cooperate with the state hospital, and one of the conditions Samuel put forward is to replace the chief of cardiac surgery. I was stunned. What did you say? He wants to use capital maneuvering to drive you out of the state hospital. She sneered. That's Samuel's method. Why did he do that? For Sophia. She looked at me. As long as your career takes a hit, he'll get his chance. I fell silent. Samuel's scheming ran deeper than I had imagined. Thank you for telling me this. No need to thank me. She smiled bitterly. I just don't want to see another woman destroyed by him. Back at the hospital, I found Dr. Brown. Director, I heard the hospital is going to cooperate with Sunshine Medical Group. Dr. Brown was taken aback. You have good sources. We are indeed in talks, but nothing's decided yet. Can you explain in detail? Sunshine was recently acquired, and the new owner is wealthy and intends to make a big move in the medical field, Dr. Brown said. The terms they offered are very generous, and the hospital leadership is very tempted. Including personnel changes? Dr. Brown frowned. What have you heard? I told them what Jessica said. Preposterous. Dr. Brown slammed the table. Capital wants to meddle in hospital management? Not a chance. But the hospital executives. Don't worry, I'll handle it, Dr. Brown said firmly. A hospital is a place to heal and save lives, not a pawn in Capital's game. I came home that evening and unexpectedly found Sophia cooking in the kitchen. You're back? She turned to look at me. I made the sweet and sour spare ribs you like. Seeing her clumsy movements, my heart softened. Do you need help? All right. She breathed a sigh of relief. We stood side by side in the kitchen, cooking like an ordinary married couple. Ethan, she said suddenly, I'm sorry. Why are you apologizing? For what happened that night? She put down the spatula. I know what you're worried about. Sophia, let me finish. She cut me off. Samuel did indeed pursue me, starting from our university days. But I only ever felt a classmate's friendship for him. Then why didn't you refuse him clearly? She forced a bitter smile. Because of work. He's an important partner. I can't let the relationship turn sour. So you chose to be ambiguous? Not ambiguous, keeping my distance. She explained anxiously, Ethan, in my heart, you're the most important. Seeing the sincerity in her eyes, I believed her. Sophia, Samuel is going after me. What? She cried in alarm. I told her about what happened to the hospital. Her face changed dramatically. How could he do that? So stay away from him. I will. She held my hand. Ethan, let's face it together, okay? Seeing the determination in her eyes, I nodded. Okay. That dinner, the sweet and sour spare ribs were a bit burnt, but we both enjoyed it. After the meal, she nestled against me. Ethan, I love you. It was the first time she had udon said those 3 words. I love you too. I kissed her forehead. Outside the window, the night was deep, yet our hearts were closer than ever. Early the next morning, news arrived at the hospital. The Sunshine Group's acquisition negotiations had been suspended. I heard there was a split within the board, colleagues speculated. I knew this was the result of Dr. Brown working behind the scenes. Director Ethan, the secretary ran over. The dean asked you to come to his office. In the director's office, besides the director, Dr. Brown was also present. Ethan, seat. The director said kindly, you should have heard about the Sunshine Group matter. Yes. Someone reported to me that there's something fishy behind this acquisition. The director looked at me meaningfully. They say it has to do with a personal grudge against you. I told the truth. After the director listened, he pondered for a moment. The hospital must never become a battleground for personal grudges. I will investigate this matter thoroughly. Thank you, Director. However, the director changed tack. Ethan, you must be careful. Business is like war. Your rivals won't give up easily. He's right. Someone like Samuel, when one scheme fails, will surely have another move. In the afternoon, I was preparing for surgery when Vivian rushed in a hurry. Senior brother, something's wrong. What's wrong? Some negative news about you has suddenly appeared online. I took her phone and saw several articles. Deputy Director of State Hospital's medical skills questioned, 3-year gap. Can he still do the job? Patient's family complains. Negligent surgery caused death. The content is all hearsay, yet spoken with such certainty. This is slander. Vivian said angrily, Senior brother, your medical skills are apparent to everyone. I calmly returned her phone and said, don't worry about it. But those who are innocent need no explanation. I smiled, prepare for the operation. But things unfolded beyond expectations. No sooner had the afternoon surgery finished than reporters swarmed around. Dr. Ethan, how do you respond to the doubts about you circulating online? When a patient's family says your medical skills are not good, how do you respond? I heard you haven't performed surgery in 3 years. Your skills have declined? Security arrived in time and dispersed the reporters. But I knew this was only the beginning. When I got home that evening, Sophia already knew about it. It was Samuel who did it, she said definitively. How do you know? This afternoon. He came to see me, she said through gritted teeth. He implied that as long as I agreed to cooperate with him on the new project, those negative stories would disappear. What did you answer? I told him to get lost. Seeing her so furious, I instead laughed. Well done. You can still laugh? She asked worriedly. These fake news stories will affect your reputation. Don't worry. The hospital will take care of it. No, we have to take the initiative. She stood up. I'll get a team of lawyers and sue them for defamation. Sophia. I stopped her. No need to make such a big fuss. Why not? They're ruining your future. Seeing how anxious she was, I felt a warm glow inside. With you by my side, I'm not afraid of anything. She froze for a moment, then threw herself into my arms. Ethan, I won't let anyone hurt you. I know. That night, we slept holding each other. The wind and rain threatened outside, but as long as she was by my side, I had the courage to face anything. The next day, the hospital issued an official statement supporting my medical skills and ethics. At the same time, the legal department began collecting evidence to sue the slanderers. As for me, I went about my work as usual. On the operating table, I was still that highly skilled doctor. Director Ethan, that surgery just now was amazing, the young doctor said admiringly. Yeah, all those negative news stories are nonsense. Moved by my colleague's support, I felt very touched. At that moment, the head nurse ran over. Director Ethan, a special patient specifically requested you to perform the operation. What patient? The chairman of Sunshine Group. I was stunned. Sunshine Group? The one Samuel bought. What's his condition? Acute myocardial infarction. Needs an emergency bypass. The head nurse lowered her voice. I heard the other doctors don't dare take the case. I understood. It's a trap. If I refuse, they'll accuse me of letting him die. If I take the operation and something goes wrong, the responsibility will fall entirely on me. Chief Ethan, what do you think? I took a deep breath. Prepare for surgery. But a doctor's heart is compassionate. Whoever he is, if he needs treatment, I cannot refuse. A look of admiration flashed in the head nurse's eyes. Yes. Outside the operating room, I saw Samuel. Dr. Ethan, he sneered. The chairman's life is in your hands. I gave him a cold look and turned into the operating room. This battle concerned not only a life, but also my career. The operating room's shadowless lamp came on. I took a deep breath and settled into the zone. The patient was a 60-year-old man. The ECG showed a severe myocardial infarction. The patient's condition is very critical, the anesthesiologist reported. Blood pressure is unstable, and there are arrhythmias. Begin the operation, I said calmly. The scalpel in my hand seemed to come to life. Every movement was precise and flawless. Beautiful, the assistant couldn't help but exclaim. 3 hours later, the vascular bypass was completed. The heart has resumed beating, the nurse said excitedly. Blood pressure is up. Heart rhythm has returned to normal. The surgery was successful. Walking out of the operating room, Samuel looked awful. The chairman's operation was very successful, I said calmly. After 48 hours of observation, he should be out of danger. He gritted his teeth, but had nothing to say. In the hospital, colleagues took turns offering their congratulations. Director Ethan is mighty. Those who spread rumors should shut up. That evening, Sophia made a special feast. Congratulations on your victory today. She raised her glass. Just doing my duty as a doctor. No, you're more remarkable than that. Pride filled her eyes. Faced with a trap, you chose medical ethics. That is what a true healer is. As she spoke, the phone rang. Dr. Ethan, I'm the lawyer for Sunshine Group. A stranger's voice came through the phone. The chairman wants to see you. The next day, I arrived at the ward as promised. The chairman had already woken up and looked in good spirits. Dr. Ethan, thank you for saving my life. That's my duty. He looked at me intently. I know about the grudge between Samuel and you. I said nothing. To be honest, I don't approve of what he did. The old man sighed. A hospital shouldn't become a ground for power games. You mean, Sunshine Group has withdrawn all actions against you, he said decisively. And I will reconsider our cooperation with Samuel. This turn of events was unexpected. Why? The old man smiled. Because you showed me what a true healer's compassion is. Such a doctor deserves respect and should not be trampled by capital. Leaving the ward, my feelings were complicated. Unexpectedly, it was medicine itself that resolved the crisis. In the evening, Samuel came to the door. You won, he said with a sullen face. This isn't about winning or losing. Don't be too smug, he said viciously. Sophia will be mine sooner or later. Samuel, I said seriously, Sophia is a person, not an object. She doesn't belong to anyone. She has the right to choose her own life. She chose a loser like you. At least I won't use dirty tricks. He left in a furious haste. Sophia came out of the room. Did you hear everything? She walked over to me. Thank you for what you said. What things? Don't call me an object. She smiled. Many people take it for granted, but very few will say it out loud. I held her. Because in my heart, you are the one and only Sophia, not anyone's accessory. Her eyes grew moist. Ethan, Meeting you is my greatest luck. It was late at night. We held each other on the sofa. Sophia, I'm thinking about something. What? Should we have a child? Her body stiffened, then slowly relaxed. Okay. Really? I looked at her in surprise. Really? She lowered her head shyly. I want to have a child like you. In that moment, I felt like I owned the whole world. Life gradually returned to normal. At the hospital, my reputation was not only unharmed, but even elevated further because of that surgery. Director Ethan, these are the invitations to next month's academic conferences. The secretary handed over a stack of invitation letters. I flipped through them. They were all top domestic medical conferences. By the way, the secretary added, the dean said he's preparing to recommend you for this year's National Science and Technology Progress Award. Really? Of course. Your innovations in Da Vinci robotic surgery are fully deserving. This is the highest recognition a doctor can receive. That night when I got home, I couldn't wait to tell Sophia the good news. That's great. She was even more excited than I was. I knew you were the best. Not decided yet. He'll definitely win an award. She said confidently, my husband is a genius doctor. Seeing her proud look, my heart felt warm and sweet. By the way, I remembered something. There's a medical conference next week in Benhai City. Do you want to go together? Going on vacation? Her eyes lit up. While we're at it, a vacation. I laughed. We've been married so long and never traveled together. Yes, of course. She hugged me excitedly. Seeing how happy she was, I realized we'd really missed out on so much these past 3 years. A week later, Benhai City. The meeting was arranged at a seaside resort. During the day, I attended the conference. At night, I walked with her along the beach. It's beautiful. She walked barefoot on the sand, the sea breeze lifting her long hair. Yeah, I held her hand. How did I never notice before how beautiful you are? Her face flushed. Smooth talker. Honestly, I looked at her intently. Sophia, these past few days I've been thinking, if I hadn't lost my memory back then, would we have missed each other? She was silent for a moment. Maybe we would. Why? Because back then, we were both too attached to our own worlds. She sighed. You were determined to make me quit my job. I was determined to stay independent. And now, she looked up at me. Now I understand. Love is not possession, nor is it distance, but the fulfillment of one another. Moonlight spilled over the sea. Her eyes were brighter than stars. Ethan, let's start over. Okay. I kissed her. That kiss was long and lingering, as if trying to make up for all the regrets of the past. Back at the hotel, she shyly pulled me into the room. That night, we truly became husband and wife. Waking in the morning, looking at her in my arms, I felt my life was complete. Woke up. She opened her drowsy eyes. I kissed her forehead. Hungry. A little. Wait here, I'll go buy breakfast. In the hotel's buffet, I was picking out the food she liked when I suddenly heard a familiar voice. Samuel? What are you doing here? I turned around, and sure enough, it was him. To discuss business, he said coldly. And you? Attend an academic conference. Oh. He smiled meaningfully. Sophia came too, right? I grew wary. What business is it of yours? Nothing, just a reminder. He leaned in. Be careful. After all, accidents can happen at any time. After speaking, he turned and left. My heart sank. I hurried back to the room. Sophia? Water could be heard from the bathroom. I'm taking a shower. I breathed a sigh of relief, but Samuel's words made me uneasy. What's wrong? She came out wrapped in a towel. You don't look well. It's nothing. I didn't want to worry her. Maybe I was too tired last night. Her face flushed, and she gave me a little hit. You're awful. I was distracted for the rest of the meeting, until I received an anonymous text message. Want to know your wife's secret? Meet me at the beach tonight at 8. I stared at the message, lost in thought. At 8 in the evening, I arrived at the beach as agreed. The moonlight was hazy, and a figure stood under the coconut tree. Who are you? I asked. The person turned around. It was Jessica. It's you? Sorry for asking you out like this, she said apologetically, but there are some things I have to tell you. What is it? She took a deep breath. about what happened 5 years ago. 5 years ago? Yes, Sophia and Samuel. She hesitated. What about them? They used to be engaged. The news hit like a bolt from the blue. What did you say? 5 years ago, Sophia and Samuel were engaged. Jessica looked at me. But later, for some reason, Sophia suddenly broke off the engagement and instead married you. My mind was in chaos. That can't be. I have proof. She took out her phone. Inside were some old news screenshots. The headline boldly read, "Rising legal star engaged. Powerhouses of business join forces." In the photo, the young Sophia and Samuel are standing together. She is wearing an engagement ring. I couldn't find the words. Samuel never gave up, Jessica said. He believes Sophia was forced by her family to marry you. Why tell me now? Because Samuel has been planning something recently. She looked grave. He wants to stage an accident to make you disappear. What? I was shocked. I don't know the details, but you must be careful. With that, she hurried away. I stood alone on the beach, the sea wind howling, my mind in turmoil. Sophia was once engaged to Samuel? Why didn't she tell me? Back at the hotel, Sophia was already asleep. Looking at her peaceful, sleeping face, my heart was full of mixed emotions. The next day, after the meeting ended, I booked a return flight in advance. You're leaving so soon? Sophia sounded a little disappointed. Didn't you say we'd stay a couple more days? The hospital has an emergency. Elite. On the plane, she fell asleep leaning on my shoulder. I stared at the sea of clouds outside the window. My mind kept coming back to that question. Why was she hiding it? Back home, I began secretly investigating what happened 5 years ago. Sure enough, I could still find some clues online. At that time, Sophia had just graduated from law school and was hailed as the most promising newcomer. Samuel was already a rising star in the business world. Their engagement was heavily covered by the media, dubbed the Golden Boy and Jade Girl. But strangely, 3 months after the engagement, all related news vanished. The more I looked into it, the more alarmed I became. What are you looking into? Sophia stood behind me before I knew it. I hurriedly closed the webpage. Nothing, just work stuff. She looked at me suspiciously for a moment, but said nothing. At dinner, I finally couldn't help asking, Sophia, you and Samuel, were you close before? Her hand paused while she picked up food. Not really, just college classmates. Just classmates. She looked up at me. Why are you asking this all of a sudden? Just asking. She put down her chopsticks. Ethan, if you want to ask something, just say it. I took a deep breath. You were engaged to Samuel, right? The air suddenly solidified. Her face went pale in an instant. You? How did you find out? So it's true. I smiled bitterly. Why didn't you tell me? She bit her lip. I didn't hide it on purpose. Then why? Because that past doesn't matter, she said urgently. What matters is the present. It's us. Doesn't matter? I stood up. You were going to marry him, and you say it doesn't matter? Ethan, listen to my explanation. I'm on duty at the hospital. I picked up my coat and left. Her voice came from behind. Ethan. I didn't look back. At this moment, I needed to stay calm. I stayed awake all night in the hospital duty room. In the early morning, my phone rang. An unknown number. Dr. Ethan, it's Samuel. Something wrong. Let's meet at noon. Some things need to be made clear. I thought for a moment and agreed. In a restaurant, Samuel was already waiting there. You understand now? He got straight to the point. Understand what? My past with Sophia. He smiled. She never really loved you. What do you mean? 5 years ago, we were about to get married. A flash of hatred crossed his eyes. But her family ran into trouble. The company's cash flow collapsed, and they needed a marriage alliance to get through it. So she chose you. He sneered. Although your Johnson family isn't as strong as the Black family, you have plenty of capital. I clenched my fist. You're lying. Am I? He took out a document. This is the financial report from that year. You can see for yourself. The document showed that 5 years ago the Taylor family had indeed experienced a financial crisis, and it was Johnson family's funding that rescued them. The timing matched perfectly, just 1 month after Sophia called off the engagement. My head roared, so I was merely a bargaining chip in an exchange of interests? Leaving the restaurant, I walked aimlessly down the street. 5 years of marriage. It was all built on lies. The phone kept ringing. It was Sophia calling, but I didn't pick up until Vivian's call. Senior brother, where are you? There's been an incident at the hospital. What is it? An emergency brought in a special patient, and they specifically asked for you to perform the surgery. I rushed to the hospital and only then learned the patient was Sophia's father. Dad suddenly had a heart attack. Sophia was streaming with tears. Ethan, save him. I looked at her tear-blurred face, my feelings a jumble. But the doctor's instinct still prevailed. Prepare for surgery. In the operating room, I was fully concentrated. No matter how chaotic my mind, the scalpel in my hand remained steady. For hours later, the surgery was successful. How is Dad? Sophia rushed over and asked. The surgery was very successful, but we need to observe him for another 48 hours. Thank you, thank you. She sobbed uncontrollably. Seeing her like that, I softened. Go get some rest first. She shook her head. I have to watch over Dad. For the next 2 days, she stayed outside the ICU without leaving my side. I brought her food, and she would only eat a few hurried bites. It will be okay, I reassured her. She looked up at me, eyes full of exhaustion. Ethan, I'm sorry. What? About Samuel. She bit her lip. I should have told you sooner. There's no point in bringing that up now. No, I have to make it clear. She stood up. 5 years ago, I was indeed engaged to Samuel. I listened in silence. But it wasn't out of love. She gave a bitter smile. It was an arranged marriage between our families. What happened after that? Later I met you. There was a light in her eyes. You appeared in that medical malpractice case as an expert witness. I remember that case, but not the details. Your performance in court left a strong impression on me. She recalled, professional, upright, and full of a sense of responsibility. So I was moved. She lowered her head. The first time I met someone who made my heart race. But you're already engaged. Yes. She nodded. So I was in great pain. But in the end, I chose to follow my heart. You mean you broke off the engagement for me? Yes. She looked me straight in the eye. That decision ruined the relationship between the two families, and the family business was affected as well. I remembered the financial statements Samuel showed me. Later, your company ran into funding problems. That was an accident. She cut me off, and it had nothing to do with the broken engagement. A competitor took advantage of the situation. But the injection of capital from the Johnsons. That was a business partnership, she explained. Your father is very shrewd. He saw a good investment opportunity. Are you sure it wasn't a condition of a marriage alliance? She paused for a moment, then realized, Samuel told you? I nodded. She sneered coldly. He's still as despicable as ever. What do you mean? Ethan, your father did suggest a marriage alliance, she said honestly, but I refused. Then why did you still marry me? Because you were the one who pursued me, she said with a mix of tears and laughter. You forgot. I racked my brain, and fragments surfaced in my mind. Yes, it does seem that I was the one who pursued her first. You had just returned from the United States then, she reminded me. At a party you fell in love with me at first sight. The memories gradually became clearer. That's right, I was the initiator. I was drawn to her beauty and demeanor and launched an intense pursuit. So it's not an arranged marriage? Of course not. She said seriously. Ethan, I married you only because I love you. Looking into her sincere eyes, I chose to believe. I am sorry. I took her hand. I misunderstood you. It was my fault. She leaned against my chest. I should have told you these things sooner. Then why does Samuel keep pestering you? He can't accept failure. She sighed. In his eyes, I'm his possession. How could I marry someone else? So that's it. As we spoke, a nurse ran over. Attorney Taylor, your father is awake. We hurried over. Although weak, the old man was conscious. Daddy, Sophia cried with joy. The old man looked at her, then at me, and said weakly, Ethan, thank you. You're welcome. Sophia. The old man took his daughter's hand. Be good to Ethan. I will, Dad. Watching the scene, my heart felt warm. No matter what happened in the past, what matters is the present and the future. Mr. Taylor recovered quickly and was able to get out of bed and walk around after a week. Ethan, I owe you a thank you, he said formally. Dad, please don't say that. No, I must say it. The old man looked grave. Not only thank you for saving my life, but thank you for putting up with Sophia all these years. I was a bit surprised. You knew? I know Sophia's character. He sighed. She's very headstrong, always pushing people away. She has changed a lot already. Yes, this is all thanks to you, the old man said with satisfaction. You are a good child. As he spoke, Sophia entered carrying a bowl of soup. Dad, it's time to take your medicine. Watching her carefully care for her father, I felt very warm inside. At that moment, my phone rang. It was Dr. Brown. Ethan, good news. The preliminary review for the National Science and Technology Progress Award passed. Really? Of course. The committee highly praised your innovation in robotic surgery. After hanging up, Sophia asked curiously, what good news? I told them about winning the award. Amazing, she hugged me excitedly. This is true glory, Mr. Taylor said approvingly. Ethan, you have brought honor to the medical community. That evening at home, Sophia specially prepared a table full of delicious dishes to celebrate your award. It's not officially awarded yet. It definitely will be, she said confidently. After dinner, we cuddled on the sofa and watched TV. Ethan, there's something I want to discuss with you. What is it? I want to quit. I looked at her in surprise. Why? I want to spend more time with you. She said seriously, I've realized lately that although career is important, family is more important. Sophia, you don't need to sacrifice your career for me. It's not a sacrifice. She shook her head. It's a choice. I could be a solo lawyer and have more flexible time. Are you sure? Sure, she said with a smile. Besides, weren't we planning to have children? At the mention of children, I softened inwardly. Then we'll do it your way. She kissed me happily. By the way, she suddenly remembered something. Samuel hasn't been bothering you recently, has he? No, I said. Maybe he gave up. But as it turned out, I was being overly optimistic. The next day, a group of people suddenly arrived at the hospital claiming to be a medical incident investigation team. We received a report alleging that Dr. Ethan made an error during surgery, said the leader. Which surgery? I asked. A coronary bypass surgery from last month. I thought about it. It was a routine operation, very successful, and the patient recovered well. The patient is healthy now. How could there be a problem? We need to investigate. The other side spoke formally. Dr. Brown came rushing over when he heard the news. What happened? The investigation team produced a document. This is the complaint, alleging Dr. Ethan performed the operation improperly. Dr. Brown glanced at it, his expression changing. This is slander. The surgical records are crystal clear. We will verify it. The investigation went on for a day, and in the end, of course, no evidence was found. But this matter still caused discussion in the hospital. It must be that Samuel again, causing trouble, Vivian said angrily. I said nothing, but inside I knew Samuel hadn't given up. Sure enough, in the following days, one problem after another followed. Soon it was the health bureau coming to inspect, then it was patients filing complaints. Although all baseless, it was still exhausting to deal with. This can't go on. Sophia snapped. I'm going to sue him for harassment. Useless, I said. He always goes through others. There's no direct evidence. What should we do then? I thought for a moment. Maybe it's time to take the initiative. I hired a private detective and began investigating Samuel. Focus on his business dealings, I said. Someone like him can't be clean. The detective was professional. He had results within a week. Mr. Ethan, I found something. He handed me a stack of documents. Samuel's company is involved in tax evasion and commercial bribery. I flipped through the evidence. It was all concrete. This is more than enough to take him down. Not just that, the detective said mysteriously. He's been planning a big move recently. What move? He's trying to short the Taylor family's company. I felt a chill. Short it? That would mean destroying the Taylor family. Are you sure? Yes. He has already partnered with several investment firms. I immediately told Sophia the news. Her face changed drastically. That bastard. We have to strike first. How do we do that? I dialed a number. Hello. Is this the Securities Regulatory Commission? I'd like to report. 3 days later, Samuel's company was under investigation. Tax evasion, commercial bribery, stock manipulation. Each charge was enough to leave him in a panic. I didn't expect you to fight back. Samuel called, his voice grim. You started it. I've got this on my list. He ground his teeth. This isn't over between us. Ready anytime. After hanging up, I knew this matter wasn't over. Sure enough, that night, I was attacked in the parking lot. 3 masked men rushed out of the darkness. Careful. Sophia's voice came from behind. It turned out she was worried and had secretly followed. In the chaos, I shielded her but took a few punches myself. Call the police. I shouted. The siren blared as the assailant fled in panic. The police arrived, and we filed a report. Any suspects? The officer asked. Samuel. I answered without hesitation. But there was no direct evidence, and the police were in a bind. On the way home, Sophia kept trembling. It's okay now. I comforted her. It's all my fault, she said reproachfully. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have gotten mixed up in this. Don't say that. I held her hand. Protecting you is my responsibility. Her eyes were red. Ethan, let's leave this place. Leave? Yes, go somewhere Samuel can't find us. I shook my head. Avoiding it won't solve the problem. But, trust me, I said firmly, I'll protect you. The next day, an unexpected visitor came. Dr. Ethan, I'm the patriarch of the Black family. Samuel's grandfather? What is he doing here? Sir, I'm here to apologize. The old man sighed. That unfilial grandson of mine has done many wrong things. So it turned out old Mr. Black knew everything. How unlucky for the family. He was grief-stricken. I've already sent him abroad. Abroad? Yes, to the European branch. The old man assured us he won't be back for at least 5 years. Sophia and I exchanged a look. This is the Black family's apology. The old man pushed over an envelope. I didn't take it. No need. Accept it. The old man insisted. Consider it compensation for emotional distress. In the end, with the old man's persistence, we accepted it. Inside was a check for a substantial amount. This matter is settled. The old man said, Samuel will not come bother you anymore. After seeing the old man off, Sophia and I both sighed with relief. It's finally over. She leaned against me. Yes, it's over. But I know the real ending will be when Samuel himself lets go of his obsession. I hope this lesson will make him see sense. 1 year later, Director Ethan, congratulations. I stood on the podium and accepted the certificate for the National Science and Technology Progress Award. In the audience, Sophia held our 6-month-old son, her face full of pride. A lot happened this year. After Samuel went to Europe, there was no further news. Sophia resigned as she wished and opened her own law firm. I continued to advance in the field of medicine, and the Da Vinci robotic surgery techniques became increasingly refined. Most importantly, we had the fruit of our love. Dad is amazing. Sophia walked over holding the child. The little one babbled and waved his tiny hands. Come, let Daddy hold you. I took my son. Looking at his smiling face, my heart was filled with happiness. By the way, Sophia said, my parents are coming over for dinner today. Okay, I'll go buy groceries. No need. I've already prepared everything. She said with a smile, you're the hero today. Get some good rest. In the evening, the two families gathered together. Come, let's toast to Ethan. Mr. Taylor raised his glass. To our winners, my father echoed. Amid clinking glasses, everyone was in high spirits. Ethan, Sophia, Mrs. Taylor said with feeling, seeing you both so happy now puts our minds at ease. Yes, my mother added. We were worried at first that your personalities might not match. Sophia and I looked at each other and smiled. After going through so much, we had both grown. She was no longer that cold, domineering career woman. I was no longer that insecure husband. Mom, Another bowl of soup. Sophia dutifully served soup to her mother-in-law. That's enough. That's enough. Mother smiled from ear to ear. Watching this heartwarming scene, I felt warm inside. After the meal, we chatted in the living room. By the way, Mr. Taylor said, I heard the hospital is sending you to the United States for an exchange? Yes, Johns Hopkins invited me to be a visiting scholar. That's great, he said approvingly. That was your dream back then, wasn't it? I nodded. Yes. How long this time? My mother asked with concern. 3 months. I looked at Sophia. We're going together. With the child? She hesitated. Of course. I held her hand. The family should be together. She looked moved. Okay. That's wonderful, Mrs. Taylor said with relief. Sophia has finally learned to rely on others. Everyone laughed. It was late at night, and the guests had left. We lay in bed, and our son slept in the crib. Ethan, she whispered in the darkness, thank you. Thank me for what? Thank you for not giving up on us. I pulled her into my arms. Fool, it's I who should thank you. Why? Thank you for making me a better person. She smiled and found a comfortable position in my arms. Ethan, I love you. I love you too. Moonlight outside was like water, and inside the room it was warm as spring. Our story continues. But this time, I believe it will be a complete ending. Because we have already learned how to love. Love is not possession, not change. It is understanding, fulfillment, and walking forward together. Just like now, simple yet happy. This is what the most beautiful form of love looks like. George, I've got good news and bad news. Which do you want to hear first? I put down my paintbrush and looked at my friend Frank. He stood at the studio door with a mysterious air, his face a mix of nervousness and excitement. Let's start with the bad news. After all, I've gotten used to it these past 3 years. Your painting, Eternity, just sold for a sky-high price. Over $6 million. I frowned. How is that bad news? Frank chuckled. Because it's actually part of the good news. The bad news is, buddy, you might need to see a psychiatrist. What do you mean? A woman who looks exactly like Mary showed up at your art exhibition. I almost thought I was seeing a ghost. The paintbrush slipped from my hand and fell to the floor, splattering paint across the unfinished canvas. Mary, my late wife, died 3 years ago after accidentally falling off a cliff. I watched with my own eyes as her body was pulled from the water. In that moment, my world completely collapsed. Stop joking around, Frank. Why would I lie to you? She even left this. Frank handed me a note with an address and a time written on it. My hand trembled slightly. The handwriting was exactly the same as Mary's. That night, I waited until midnight at the designated cafe. Just as I was about to leave, a familiar figure appeared at the door. Mary? No, it couldn't be her. But every gesture of that woman, from the tips of her hair to her fingertips, was a shadow of Mary. George, it's been a long time. She sat across from me, and the familiar voice nearly made my heart stop. Who are you? I struggled to remain calm. I'm Mary, your wife. She smiled and reached out her hand. There was a scar on her palm, the mark Mary got when she accidentally cut herself on glass at 15. Impossible. Mary is already dead. She laughed softly. That was just an accident. I fell off the cliff and was saved by a reclusive old doctor. I lost my memory from the injuries and only recently remembered everything. As she spoke, tears began to fall with an expression I knew all too well, the look Mary wore whenever she felt wronged. I know it's hard to believe, but I really am Mary. I couldn't believe my eyes. The shade of lipstick Mary loved most, the faint little mole beneath her left ear, the unconscious habit of rubbing her ring while speaking. Everything was so familiar. You? Are you really Mary? She nodded and took a small box out of her bag. This is the proof. Inside the box was the first piece of jewelry Mary ever designed. A sapphire ring, the only one of its kind, never mass-produced. I brought it with me that day because I wanted to surprise you. I suddenly stood up and pulled her into my arms. 3 years of longing surged over me like a tide. I held her tightly, afraid that if I let go, she would disappear again. On the way home, she told me about her experiences over the past 3 years. She was rescued by an old doctor in the mountains, lost her memory due to a severe head injury, and lived in a remote mountain village for more than 2 years. It wasn't until she happened to see a poster for my art exhibition that her memory gradually returned. The next day, I took her to see Frank. Oh my God, it really is you, Mary. Frank stared in astonishment, eyes wide. Frank, it's been a long time. She greeted him with a smile, exactly as I remembered. Frank pulled me aside and whispered, Man, this is unbelievable, but I really believe it's her. Who else but Mary could call me by my childhood nickname so accurately? That was something only the two of you knew. A week later, Mary officially returned. We held a small welcome party for her. Her mother was so overwhelmed that she fainted, and when she woke up, she clung to her daughter and refused to let go. But that night, I noticed the first sign that something was off. Mary never ate mangoes because she was severely allergic. Yet the returned Mary absent-mindedly tasted a mango dessert and was perfectly fine. Aren't you allergic to mangoes? I asked. She paused for a moment, then quickly laughed and said, Oh, that old Chinese doctor cured my allergy. He's really amazing. I nodded, but in my heart, I marked the first question mark. Is this really my wife? A month passed quickly, and Mary blended perfectly into our lives. She knew the location of every item in the house, remembered our shared memories, and could even accurately name friends we hadn't contacted in years. But those subtle feelings of discord kept growing. For example, the real Mary liked to listen to classical music, especially Debussy, while designing jewelry. But she would always unconsciously hum along to pop songs. Mary always habitually used her left hand to hold chopsticks, even though she knew it was wrong. She just couldn't change. But she was a standard right-handed user. The most obvious difference appeared that night when I accidentally caught her smoking in the bedroom. The real Mary hated the smell of smoke. Even when I came home from social events with a faint scent of cigarettes, she would frown. When did you start smoking? I stood at the doorway, my voice soft. She was clearly startled, hastily snuffing out the cigarette. This is a herbal cigarette for treating insomnia, prescribed by an old Chinese doctor. I nodded, not pressing further, but the doubts in my heart only grew deeper. The next day, I went to find Frank. Help me check if, in the past 3 years, plastic surgery technology has advanced enough to achieve this level. Frank's eyes widened. You mean, she's not Mary? I'm not sure, but there are always some things that don't add up. 2 days later, Frank brought news. High-end plastic surgery can make faces look similar, but it can't replicate the exact placement of scars or moles. And there's a limit to how well someone can imitate a voice. What if it was a twin? Frank shook his head. Mary is an only child. We all know that. I decided not to show my feelings for now and to keep observing. A week later, Mary's mother came to my house with astonishing news. George, Mary is going to have a baby, my mother-in-law told me excitedly. I stood there stunned. Before we got married, Mary had been diagnosed with uterine hypoplasia. The doctor had made it clear she could never get pregnant. This was our shared secret. Not even my mother-in-law knew. How do you know that? I managed to ask. Mary told me this morning. She said she already had a checkup. It's been 2 months. My mother-in-law happily grabbed my hand. It's a blessing from above. Mary survived death, and now she can bring us new life. My heart sank to the bottom. This absolutely could not be Mary. That night, I dug out the hospital's diagnosis certificate in my study, which clearly stated the condition of Mary's uterus. But when I wanted to talk to Mary about it, I found her in the bedroom, excitedly discussing the decoration of the nursery with my mother-in-law. Mary, could you come here for a moment? I called her calmly. She followed me into the study, still wearing a blissful smile on her face. Did you forget about this? I handed her the diagnosis certificate. She took it and glanced at it, her face instantly turning pale. George, I can explain. Explain what? Explain that you're not Mary at all. Mother-in-law heard the commotion and walked in. What's going on with you two? Mom, take a look at this. I handed her the proof. My mother-in-law read it, then looked at Mary in astonishment. What's going on? Mary, you can't have children. Of course she can, I sneered, because she's not Mary at all. My mother-in-law's face changed dramatically. What nonsense are you talking about? I can explain. She hurriedly grabbed my mother-in-law's hand. That old Chinese doctor not only saved my life, but also cured my uterine problem. It's a miracle, truly. My mother-in-law looked at me, then at her, hesitating. George, you're being too paranoid. My mother-in-law finally took her daughter's side. Mary has come back with great difficulty. You should cherish her, not doubt her. Yes, George, I know this is hard to accept, but miracles do happen. Tears welled up in her eyes. Haven't we always wanted a child? Now we can finally have our own baby." I looked at her face, identical to Mary's, yet I became more certain in my heart. This woman was not my wife. "All right, I believe you." I smiled, deciding to go along with their story for now. Let's wait together for this miracle to happen. That night, I secretly contacted a private detective. My mother-in-law gladly accepted her daughter's explanation, even suggesting she move in with us to take care of Mary during her pregnancy. Outwardly, I agreed, but inside I grew even more wary. This was no coincidence. There had to be some kind of plot. "Mom, haven't you always lived in Haicheng? Won't it be hard to get used to living here?" I probed cautiously. "For my grandson, I'm willing to endure any inconvenience," my mother-in-law said firmly. I noticed a fleeting unnatural expression on Mary's face. Could the truth be connected to my mother-in-law? On the third day after my mother-in-law moved in, I discovered more suspicious details. For example, the real Mary never drank coffee, but she and my mother-in-law often enjoyed it together. Also, Mary's favorite movie was Roman Holiday, but she claimed to prefer Titanic. The strangest thing is, Mary used to despise her cousin Tom when she was alive, but now he visits frequently and chats and laughs with Mary as if they're old friends. I told Frank about these discoveries. "Buddy, things are getting more and more suspicious," Frank frowned. "Are you sure you want to keep going like this? Why not just expose her directly?" "It's not the right time yet. I want to find out what they're really after." The private detective's investigation also made progress. The so-called old Chinese doctor who had saved Mary did not exist at all, and Mary's whereabouts over the past 3 years were completely untraceable. More importantly, the private detective uncovered a shocking fact during the investigation. Mary's cousin Tom was deeply in debt from gambling, and the painting Eternity under my name, worth over $6 million, was his only hope for quick cash. "They're after your painting," the private detective asserted, "and this fake Mary is likely a professional identity fraudster, hired to win your trust." I took a deep breath and decided to take the initiative. That afternoon, I pretended to go out, but secretly returned home and hid in the study. Sure enough, Mary and her cousin Tom were whispering to each other in the living room. "It's taking too long," Tom said irritably. "How much longer until he sells the painting?" "Don't worry," she soothed him. "I'm already pregnant, and now he completely believes I'm Mary. In a little while, I'll say I want to move to a better neighborhood for the sake of the baby, and then we'll naturally need to sell the painting to raise money." "You're really pregnant?" "That wasn't part of the plan. It was an accident, but it works to our advantage. George wants a child so badly." "Does Annie know the truth?" "She only knows we're trying to scam money, not the specific plan. But she hates George, thinks he caused her daughter's death, so she's more than happy to help." I clenched my fists. So my mother-in-law had always believed that Mary's accident was somehow my fault. In fact, we did argue over something trivial that day, and Mary stormed out in anger. I didn't try to stop her, but I never imagined it would be the last time I'd see her. "You don't actually have feelings for George, do you?" Tom suddenly asked. She was silent for a moment. "It's just part of the job. Besides, I owe you, and I won't go back on my word." "Good then. Don't forget how we're splitting the money once we get it." Their conversation confirmed my suspicions. This was all an elaborate scheme, with my eternity as the target. In the days that followed, I pretended everything was normal while secretly making preparations. I contacted the police, arranged for evidence-gathering equipment, and found the last piece Mary had left before she died, a silver necklace that had never been made public, engraved with an anniversary date only the two of us knew. 2 weeks later, my art exhibition was held as scheduled. As planned, Mary brought up the idea of moving, hinting that I could sell Eternity. I pretended to agree and said I would auction the painting on the last day of the exhibition. "This is a surprise I prepared for you," I said on the eve of the exhibition, taking out a delicate box. "To celebrate the new life we're about to begin." She opened the box in surprise, and inside was the silver necklace. "It's beautiful, thank you." She smiled as she prepared to put it on. "Wait," I stopped her. "Aren't you going to look at the engraving on the back?" She turned the necklace over, and her face suddenly went pale. "What's wrong? Don't you like it?" I asked, feigning ignorance. "No, I really like it. It's just, I'm a bit moved." She forced a smile, but didn't know how to explain that she couldn't recognize the significance of that date. "See you tomorrow. Get some good rest, and don't forget to wear this necklace." I kissed her forehead and whispered in her ear, After all, this is your final design. Her body visibly stiffened for a moment, but she kept smiling. Of course, I cherish it very much. Tomorrow, the truth will come to light. On the day of the exhibition, the place was packed with people. My painting, Eternity, was displayed in the most prominent spot, right next to the last batch of jewelry designs Mary had created before her death. Mary held my arm, flawlessly playing the role of my wife as always. She had even gone out of her way to wear Mary's favorite white dress and the silver necklace I had given her last night. My mother-in-law and Tom were there too. The three of them exchanged glances from time to time, clearly waiting for the perfect moment. Frank appeared as planned, pretending to be extremely interested in Eternity and asking me about the auction details. The auction will begin promptly at 4 in the afternoon, I replied with a smile. This painting means a great deal to me, and I hope it finds someone who truly appreciates it. Mary immediately chimed in. Yes, although it's hard to part with it, this is a necessary decision for our future. I noticed she glanced at Tom, who gave a barely perceptible nod. At 3:30 in the afternoon, the projector in the center of the exhibition hall lit up. This was the special segment I had arranged. Ladies and gentlemen, I stood in front of Eternity. Before the auction begins, I'd like to share a little story about this painting. Mary's photo appeared on the projection screen, a group picture from her last birthday party before she passed away. 3 years ago, my wife Mary died in an accident. I created this painting, Eternity, in her memory. The woman in the painting has her back to the viewer, forever gazing into the distance, symbolizing a longing I can never reach. A soft sigh rippled through the crowd. Mary stood beside me, matching my words with a sorrowful expression. However, a month ago, a miracle happened. I turned to look at Mary. My wife came back. The whole room erupted in astonishment, and many people curiously sized up, Mary. This is my wife, Mary. I took her hand and stepped forward. Back from the dead, it's truly the greatest blessing heaven could have given me. She smiled and nodded to everyone, while my mother-in-law and Tom stood by with smug expressions. However, my tone suddenly shifted. Amidst my joy, a question arose. Is she really Mary? The entire room fell silent. Mary's hand trembled slightly in my palm. So, I did some investigating. The projector switched to a set of comparison photos. On the left was the real Mary. On the right was a photo of her. They look exactly the same, don't they? But I clicked the remote, and the photo was enlarged, the details highlighted. The position of the piercing on the left ear was slightly different, the arch of the eyebrows subtly varied, and the fine lines at the corners of the eyes ran in different directions. These are details that even professional plastic surgery cannot fully replicate. Mary tried to pull her hand away, but I held on tightly. My mother-in-law and Tom also began to grow anxious, glancing toward the exit. More importantly, the real Mary has a feature that cannot be copied. I turned to Mary. The necklace I gave you last night has a date engraved on the back. Can you tell everyone what that date is? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. That was the due date of our first child, the one we lost. I spoke softly, my voice trembling with emotion. Mary designed this necklace to commemorate the baby we never got to meet. The date was our secret, only Mary and I knew. The room fell utterly silent. Mary turned deathly pale, my mother-in-law's eyes widened, and Tom had already started edging toward the door. What surprised me even more, I continued, was that the real Mary could never get pregnant due to an underdeveloped uterus. Yet this, Mary claims she's already 2 months along. I let go of her hand and took a step back. So, who are you really? A flicker of despair flashed in Mary's eyes, but she quickly regained her composure. I am Mary, it's just that old Chinese doctor. The non-existent old Chinese doctor, right? I sneered. Just like the non-existent amnesia, the non-existent miraculous recovery. I turned toward the projection screen. Let's see the truth. The screen played the secretly recorded video of her conversation with Tom, their discussion on how to swindle Eternity, clearly audible. This isn't. She tried to explain, but my mother-in-law had already rushed forward. Who are you really? My mother-in-law screamed. You're not my daughter? Auntie, stop pretending, I said calmly. You know she's not Mary. You just wanted to get back at me, didn't you? My mother-in-law's face turned pale. I didn't know she was going to impersonate Mary. Tom just said he needed help to scam some money. Police. Don't move. Several plainclothes officers emerged from the crowd, blocking Tom as he tried to escape. Amid the chaos, Mary took the opportunity to shove me aside and run toward the exit. I chased after her and caught up in the parking lot. "Tell me, who are you really?" She finally stopped, turned to face me, tears welling in her eyes. "My name is Luna. I'm an actress. Tom found me and said if I helped trick you out of a painting, he'd give me $1 million. I needed the money for my sister's medical treatment." "Why did they choose me? Why Mary?" She shook her head. "I don't know. They gave me a lot of information, photos, videos, even your chat logs. I was just following the script." The police arrived and took her away. I stood where I was, gazing at the distant sky, my heart a tumult of emotions. Back in the exhibition hall, the crowd had already dispersed, leaving only Frank and a few police officers. "It's all been cleared up," Frank walked over. "Tom owed money to loan sharks and was desperate. Your mother-in-law always resented you for not saving Mary, so she helped them plan the whole thing." I walked up to Eternity, gently caressing the back of the woman in the painting. "Mary, I can finally give you an answer." The police left with the evidence. Frank patted me on the shoulder. "What do you plan to do next?" I took a deep breath. "Prepare for the final painting." "What will it be called?" "The Pursuit," I said softly. "This time, I'll paint her face, not just her back." After the case was solved, my life seemed to return to where it was 3 years ago. Eternity was temporarily held by the court as crucial evidence. Tom and Luna were arrested for fraud, and my mother-in-law was investigated as an accomplice. "The prosecution wants you to testify in court," the officer called to inform me. "The trial is scheduled for early next month." I agreed, though I was utterly exhausted inside. After exposing the deception, I thought I would feel the thrill of revenge, but what I felt instead was a profound emptiness. Those days spent with Mary that month had allowed me to feel a trace of warmth in life again, even if that warmth was born of lies. Frank often came to see me, worried I might fall into despair once more. I told him not to worry, that I was working on a new piece, The Pursuit. "Are you really going to paint Mary's face from the front?" Frank asked curiously. "For the past 3 years, you've always refused to do that." "It's time," I replied. "We can't live in the past forever." I moved out of the apartment I had shared with Mary and returned to the old house in the suburbs, the place where the real Mary and I had first made our home. The dust-laden memories in the house brought me both pain and comfort. Mary's studio remained just as she had left it, design sketches scattered across the table, unfinished jewelry drafts pinned to the drawing board. One afternoon, while sorting through Mary's belongings, I discovered an encrypted external hard drive. After several attempts, I finally unlocked it using our wedding anniversary as the password. Inside were backups of Mary's design works, along with some personal photos and videos. One folder in particular caught my attention. Inside a folder named Plan was a series of jewelry design sketches, labeled George's Birthday Special Project. It was then I remembered that, in the months before Mary passed away, she often spoke mysteriously about giving me an unparalleled birthday surprise. Leafing through these design drafts, I couldn't help but be moved to tears. Mary had planned to design a jewelry collection inspired by my paintings over the years, with each piece corresponding to a representative work from my artistic career. The last page was a sketch of a ring, with a dark red stone set in the center, its edges adorned with tiny diamonds, closely resembling the sunrise in my early work, Dawn. "This is blood amber?" I examined the notes carefully, confirming the name of this rare gemstone. Mary's designs had always been bold, but blood amber is extremely rare in the Chinese market, almost impossible to acquire. How did she obtain such a material? As I continued searching, I found a series of email correspondence screenshots. Mary had actually contacted a gemstone dealer in Myanmar, commissioning the blood amber specifically for this ring. The last email showed that the gem had already been shipped, but the date was exactly 1 week before Mary's death. I immediately called Frank. "Help me check if there was a package sent from Myanmar 3 years ago, addressed to Mary." 2 days later, Frank brought news. The package did exist, but since no one signed for it, it was returned. However, according to the shipping records, it was resent a month ago, this time addressed to you. "What?" I was completely confused. "I haven't received any package." "Check your old apartment?" Frank suggested. Back at my old apartment, the manager told me there was indeed a package, but it had been signed for by Mary. She said it was a surprise for you, so she didn't notify you, the manager explained. This meant Luna had taken the blood amber. I rushed to the detention center and requested to see Luna. Separated by glass, she looked much more haggard than the last time we met, but still wore that face so similar to Mary's. "What are you doing here?" she asked coldly. "A month ago, you signed for a package from Myanmar. There was a blood amber inside. I want to know where it is." She looked surprised. "How did you know?" "Tom asked me to sign for it. He said it was some precious gem. He took it." My heart sank. Tom was deep in gambling debt. A precious blood amber would be a windfall for him. He had probably sold it long ago. "That blood amber is very important to me," I said softly. "It was the last gift my wife left me." Luna was silent for a moment, then suddenly said, "Maybe it's not that bad. Tom said the stone has flaws, its value is greatly reduced, and he hasn't found a suitable buyer yet." Hope was rekindled. If Tom hadn't sold the blood amber yet, maybe there was still a chance to get it back. "Do you know where he might hide it?" Luna hesitated for a moment. "He has a safe deposit box in a self-storage facility on the east side of the city." After getting the address, I immediately contacted the officer in charge of the case and explained the situation. Since Tom was involved in a large sum of money, the police quickly approved the search request. "Mr. George, we've found the safe deposit box," the officer said over the phone. "Inside, we did find the blood amber you described, as well as some other evidence." A few hours later, I retrieved the blood amber at the police station. It was even more beautiful than I had imagined. Within the dark red core, wisps of mist seemed to swirl, shifting strangely under the light. This was the birthday gift Mary had so carefully chosen for me, waiting for 3 years. Back home, I carefully placed the blood amber beside the canvas of the pursuit. The painting was already more than half finished, Mary's face emerging from the blur into clarity, yet it still felt like something was missing. Watching the blood amber glimmer faintly under the light, I suddenly understood how I should complete the painting. The creation of the pursuit entered its final stage. I decided to break convention and incorporate the blood amber into the artwork. This would not only be a portrait, but a hybrid piece that fused painting with the art of jewelry. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Frank frowned. "That blood amber is priceless." "That's exactly why," I said firmly. "Mary chose it for me. She wanted to inspire an unparalleled masterpiece. I will fulfill her wish." For 2 whole weeks, I worked day and night, neglecting sleep and food. I cut the blood amber into thin slices and inlaid them at the spot of Mary's eyes on the canvas, making her gaze truly come alive. I used a special technique to blend the surrounding paint, creating a harmonious transition with the gemstone. From certain angles, the entire painting seemed to be imbued with life, and Mary's expression would shift depending on where the viewer stood. On the day I finished the piece, Frank brought news. Luna had been sentenced to 3 years in prison, but due to her good attitude in confessing, she might serve only 1.5 years. Tom, involved in multiple fraud cases, was sentenced to 7 years. My mother-in-law, as an accomplice, received a suspended sentence. "The case is finally over," Frank said. "Are you planning to exhibit your painting?" "Yes. Next month there will be a solo exhibition at the National Art Museum, and The Pursuit will be the grand finale." The curator couldn't stop praising this piece, believing it represents the innovative direction of contemporary art and marks the pinnacle of my career. Indeed, this painting, which incorporates Mary's jewelry design concepts, is in some sense a creation we made together. On the eve of the exhibition, I checked the arrangement in the gallery alone one last time, making sure every piece was perfectly lit and positioned. When I reached The Pursuit, I couldn't help but stop and gaze at it. Mary's face was vividly lifelike, her eyes inlaid with blood amber gleaming under the spotlight, as if she were smiling at me. For the first time in 3 years, I faced her directly, no longer painting only her back. "Mr. George," a stranger's voice called from behind. "Sorry to disturb you, but the gallery has been cleared." He turned around to see a young woman dressed in the museum's staff uniform. "And you are?" "I'm the new curator, responsible for security in your exhibition area," she explained with a smile. "I really like your work, especially this piece, The Pursuit." "Thank you." I nodded. "I'll be leaving soon." She didn't leave, but continued to gaze at the painting. "That red gem is beautiful, almost as if it's alive." "It's blood amber," I explained, "a very rare gemstone." "I know," she said softly, "top-grade blood amber from Myanmar, containing plant fossils, extremely rare. I looked at her in surprise. You know a lot about jewelry? She smiled. I studied jewelry design. I'm just working part-time here. For some reason, Mary suddenly came to mind. She, too, had an almost obsessive passion for and expertise in gemstones. If you don't mind me asking, who is the woman in this painting? She asked. My wife, I replied. She passed away 3 years ago. She was a jewelry designer. I'm very sorry, she said sincerely, then gestured toward the blood amber. This gem must mean a great deal to you. It was the last birthday gift she chose for me before she died, but I only found it recently. She nodded thoughtfully. Setting it into her portrait is the best way to remember her. For some reason, talking with this unfamiliar woman brought me a strange sense of calm. Perhaps it was her love for jewelry that reminded me of Mary. Sorry, I have to continue my rounds. She glanced at her watch. See you tomorrow, Mr. George. See you tomorrow, I replied, watching her leave. On the way home, I felt an unusual peace. The completion of The Pursuit seemed to mark the end of my search for Mary as well. Not forgetting, but remembering her forever in another way. The next day, the exhibition's opening ceremony attracted numerous figures from the art world and the media. The Pursuit undoubtedly became the center of attention, with people marveling at this innovative form of artistic expression. Amid the crowd, I noticed that curator standing aside, watching as well. Sunlight streamed through the skylight of the gallery, falling upon her, and for a fleeting moment, I thought I saw Mary's shadow. No, I shook my head, warning myself not to be deceived by mere resemblance. There would never be another Mary in this world, just as there would never be another unique blood amber. After the exhibition, The Pursuit was purchased by an anonymous collector for an astronomical price. I donated all the proceeds to a foundation supporting students in jewelry design, establishing a scholarship in Mary's name. Life slowly moved forward, and I began to accept new commissions and create new works. Occasionally, I would think of that curator with a unique insight into jewelry, wondering if she was still working at the art museum. Until one day, I received an email from HL. There were no words, only an image. A sketch of a ring design, the style strikingly similar to Mary's unfinished series. My heart raced as I replied immediately. Who is this? The response came quickly. Yesterday, you brushed past me by the cafe on the street corner, but you didn't recognize me. If you want to know more, wait for me at the museum entrance at noon tomorrow. Is it that librarian? How could she have a design so reminiscent of Mary's style? Filled with anxiety and anticipation, I decided to accept the invitation and find out for myself. The next day at noon, I arrived at the art museum half an hour early. The sun was shining, and small groups of visitors were coming and going from the exhibition hall. But there was no sign of the mysterious person. Just as I began to suspect this might be some kind of prank, a faint trace of perfume drifted by, a scent unfamiliar to me, yet it inexplicably reminded me of Mary. Mr. George, thank you for coming. The voice behind me made me turn around. It was the curator. Today, she wasn't wearing her uniform, but a simple white dress, completely different from Mary's style when she was alive. Did you send the email? I asked directly. She nodded. There are some things I want to tell you, but not here. Will you come with me? We walked through the small park beside the art museum and arrived at a secluded cafe. The whole time, I kept observing her. Her mannerisms, the way she walked, none of it resembled Mary. Yet her sensitivity to detail and her focused attention gave me a strange sense of familiarity. Who are you, really? The moment we sat down, I couldn't wait to ask. My name is Nicole. She looked me straight in the eye. I'm Mary's student. This answer caught me off guard. Mary had indeed taught jewelry design part-time at the Design Academy before she passed away, but she had never mentioned having any particularly close students. I took her advanced design class the year before she passed, Nicole explained. Her guidance benefited me for a lifetime. That still doesn't explain why your designs resemble her style so much, I said, half convinced. Nicole took a folder out of her bag. These are all notes from Ms. Nicole's class and her feedback on my work. You can look at the handwriting and confirm that it's really hers. I carefully examined the materials. It was indeed Mary's handwriting. There were even traces of the pale purple ink she habitually used. Before Ms. Nicole passed away, she was guiding me on my graduation project, Nicole continued. The theme was interwoven light and shadow, blending Eastern and Western aesthetic elements. She gave me a lot of valuable advice and even showed me a sketch from a private project she was working on at the time. George's special birthday project? I blurted out. Nicole's eyes widened in surprise. You know about it? I only found out recently. I briefly explained the origin of the blood amber. I knew that blood amber would eventually find its way back to you, Nicole said with a smile. Nicole always said it was a destined gift. Is that why you contacted me? Because you saw the blood amber? Nicole was silent for a moment, as if choosing her words carefully. Not entirely. After Nicole passed away, I've been trying to carry on the design philosophy she taught me. Some time ago, I happened to see the news about your eternity being stolen, and then I saw someone impersonating Nicole. I thought I should tell you a few things. She took a letter out of her bag. This is the last letter Nicole gave me after class before she passed away. She said if her surprise plan went smoothly, I should show you this letter. If anything went wrong and she was gone, I should still make sure you see it. I took the envelope. It was indeed Mary's handwriting, and it read, "To my dearest husband." The envelope had already been opened. I didn't know what was in the letter at the time. I just kept it as Nicole instructed, Nicole explained. It wasn't until I saw the news that I opened it. I hope you won't blame me. I carefully took out the letter paper and unfolded it to read. Dear George, if you are reading this letter, perhaps my surprise plan has gone awry. Don't worry, it's just that the plan has changed, and the form of the gift may be different now. The blood amber I picked for you is said to be known as the Eye of Rebirth. Legend has it that looking at the world through it reveals truths that are often overlooked. I hope it can become a turning point in your artistic career, leading you to see new possibilities. All these years, your paintings have always depicted backs, as if you're afraid to face something head-on. I hope this gemstone will give you the courage to paint the front, to capture true emotions. No matter what happens, please remember, love does not disappear, it merely changes form, like this blood amber, which, after millions of years, transforms from resin into a gem, yet still shines. Forever loving you, Mary. The handwriting became a bit messy at the end, as if written in a hurry. I stroked the paper, as if I could feel Mary's emotions at that moment. Thank you, I said, my voice choked with emotion. This means a lot to me. You're welcome. I'm just fulfilling Ms. Nicole's request, Nicole said with a smile. Actually, there's one more thing I'd like to ask your help with. What is it? I'd like to apply for the Mary Scholarship you established, she said, taking a design portfolio out of her bag. This is my graduation project, combining Ms. Nicole's ideas with my own innovations. As I flipped through the portfolio, I was surprised to find that while these designs bore traces of Mary's influence, they also possessed a unique style and innovative touches. In particular, a series called Metamorphosis cleverly combined jewelry with transformable elements, allowing the pieces to change form according to the wearer's mood and occasion. This is outstanding, I praised sincerely. Mary would be proud of you. A hint of joy flashed in Nicole's eyes. Really? I've always worried I couldn't live up to her expectations. You've already moved beyond the learning stage and developed your own style. That's exactly what she hoped to see. As we talked, sunlight streamed through the window and fell on Nicole. In that moment, I seemed to understand something. When Mary spoke of love changing its form, perhaps she wasn't just referring to the blood amber, but also to her passion for art and its legacy. Luna tried to impersonate Mary by mimicking her appearance, but she could never truly replicate who she was. Nicole, on the other hand, looked nothing like Mary, yet she inherited a part of her artistic vision and spirit. Perhaps this is the true gift Mary left me, not the blood amber, but a new possibility, a path out of the past. Nicole's graduation exhibition was held in a small gallery. Though the space was modest, it was exquisitely arranged. Her works were divided into 3 series, representing the past, the present, and the future, forming a complete narrative. This is a brilliant idea, I sincerely praised. From tradition to contemporary and then to the future, it showcases the evolution and possibilities of jewelry design. Nicole smiled and nodded. This was inspired by teacher Nicole. She always says that good design should look back at history, be grounded in the present, and look forward to the future. As I walked through the exhibition hall, I noticed a special display case in the corner, containing only one piece, a seemingly simple ring with a small red gemstone set in the center. This is. I leaned in to read the label, which said, in memory, dedicated to teacher Mary. Yes, I made it from a small piece of blood amber I bought with my own savings, Nicole explained. It can't compare to the quality of yours, but it's also from Myanmar. I examined the design of the ring closely. Clean, powerful lines with fine silver threads encircling the blood amber, as if protecting the central gem, yet also seeming to radiate light outward. This is very similar to Mary's final design style, I said softly, but it also has your own unique touch. I wanted to create a piece that could both commemorate teacher Nicole and showcase my own style, Nicole explained. The blood amber represents her influence, while the outer design is the direction of my own development. The exhibition attracted quite a few industry insiders, including some well-known figures from the jewelry design world. After viewing the exhibition, an older female designer approached Nicole and offered her an internship opportunity. I stood by, genuinely happy for Nicole. In the evening, as the exhibition was drawing to a close, Frank arrived as well. Seeing me with Nicole, he gave me a knowing smile. New friend? He asked me quietly. Mary's student, I explained simply. Very talented. Frank nodded without asking further questions. After touring the exhibition, he gave high praise to Nicole's work. It blends traditional and modern elements, demonstrating both technical skill and artistic expression, quite rare. Nicole thanked him politely. This wouldn't have been possible without the guidance of teacher Nicole and teacher George. After the exhibition, the three of us went to a nearby restaurant for dinner. During the meal, Frank talked about recent trends in the art market, while Nicole shared her insights on contemporary jewelry design. The conversation was light and pleasant, and I realized it had been a long time since I had relaxed and chatted with others like this. After a few rounds of drinks, Frank received an urgent call and left early. Only Nicole and I remained in the restaurant, and the atmosphere suddenly became a bit quiet. Mr. George, Nicole hesitated for a moment before speaking. I've always had a question I wanted to ask you. What is it? After you finished the pursuit, what are you planning to create next? The question caught me off guard. To be honest, ever since the pursuit, I haven't had any new inspiration. That painting seemed to have drained all my emotions and creativity. I haven't decided yet, I answered honestly. It might take some time to find a new direction. Nicole nodded thoughtfully. Nicole once said that the hardest thing for an artist isn't creating a stunning masterpiece, but finding a way forward after reaching the peak. She really did say that, I recalled with a smile. Mary always saw further than I did. Maybe, Nicole said softly, you could try a new direction that combines your work with jewelry design? Like in The Pursuit, but taking it even further. I recalled what Mary mentioned in her letter about seeing new possibilities, and suddenly I was inspired. You mean, creating a series of works that combine painting and jewelry? Exactly. Nicole said excitedly, your paintings create emotion in two-dimensional space, while jewelry gives it tangible form in the three-dimensional world. The combination of the two would have an astonishing effect. The more we talked, the more engaged we became, even sketching a few concept designs on the restaurant's napkins. Nicole's ideas were fresh and bold, perfectly aligning with my artistic vision, yet bringing a new perspective. As we left the restaurant, Nicole suddenly said, I have to confess something. I looked at her in confusion. I reached out to you not only to deliver Nicole's letter, but also for a personal reason. I hope to learn from you, she said candidly. I want to become a designer like Nicole, someone who not only creates beautiful works but also perfectly blends art with emotion. Her sincerity moved me. You're already on that path, and you're doing very well. Then, may I consult you often? She asked a little nervously. Of course, I'd be delighted. On the way home, a series of new works already began to take shape in my mind. A cross-disciplinary art that fuses painting and jewelry, both as a tribute to Mary and as a new starting point in my artistic career. That night, I had a dream. In the dream, Mary stood in a halo of blood-red light, smiling at me and saying, see, I knew you would find a new direction. When I woke up, I got out of bed immediately and began sketching for the new series. I decided to name it Rebirth. Not only representing the ancient life forever preserved in blood amber, but also symbolizing the rebirth of my artistic career, as well as the inheritance and development of Mary's artistic vision. A week later, I submitted a new series proposal to the gallery and received an enthusiastic response. The curator even suggested holding a special exhibition themed Between Dimensions, a dialogue between painting and jewelry. For this project, I invited Nicole to join the team as a jewelry design consultant. She had just graduated from design school and was both excited and nervous about the opportunity. "Am I really up to the task?" she asked me in the studio. "You understand Mary's design philosophy better than anyone," I assured her. "That's exactly what I need." In the days that followed, we worked at a feverish pace. We created during the day and discussed at night, sometimes even working through until dawn. Nicole's ideas flowed endlessly, and I transformed those thoughts into concrete artistic expressions. In the process, I rediscovered the pure joy of creation that I hadn't felt in a long time. One late night, when we finally finished the design for our first piece, Nicole clapped her hands excitedly. "This is amazing. Teacher Nicole will definitely love it." At the mention of Mary, she suddenly realized her slip and looked at me nervously. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." "It's all right," I said with a smile. "I think Mary really would like it. She always hoped I could step out of my comfort zone and try new ways of expressing myself." Nicole let out a sigh of relief, then hesitantly asked, "Professor George, may I ask you a personal question?" "What is it?" "When you faced the woman impersonating Professor Nicole, how did you see through her? I mean, from the news reports, she seemed like an exact copy of Professor Nicole." I pondered for a moment. Superficial resemblance is easy to achieve, but a true personality cannot be duplicated. Mary's perception of art, her attitude toward life, the way she handled details, these were all unique. Just like a work of art, Nicole mused, no matter how perfect a replica is, it can never capture the soul of the original. Exactly. We worked through the night again, and finally established the overall framework for the Rebirth series. 7 pieces, each blending elements of painting and jewelry, together telling a story of loss and recovery, death and rebirth. As our collaboration deepened, my relationship with Nicole gradually shifted from teacher and student to partners, both mentor and friend. Sometimes, when the light traced the gentle contours of her focused profile, I would unconsciously think of Mary. But soon, I realized that this association wasn't due to any physical resemblance, but rather that same dedication and passion for art. "George, you look much more spirited lately," Frank remarked at a gathering. "It's been a while since I've seen you so full of life." "Yeah, the new project has helped me rediscover the joy of creating." "Nicole's a good girl," Frank said meaningfully. "Talented, and she really understands you." I understood his implication, but just smiled without responding. There was indeed a special understanding between Nicole and me, but it was more rooted in our shared passion for art than anything else. At least for now. The creation of the Rebirth series took 3 months, longer than expected, but the results were stunning. Each piece was a perfect fusion of painting and jewelry art, offering both the pleasure of viewing as a flat image and the discovery of 3-dimensional effects brought by the jewelry elements from different angles. A week before the exhibition opened, I received an unexpected visitor, Luna. She had served her sentence and was released early. She looked much more haggard than the last time we met, but her eyes were clearer. "I came to apologize to you in person." She stood at the studio door, her voice low, "for everything I have done." I didn't respond immediately, but simply invited her in to sit down. "I know that an apology can't make up for the loss," she continued, "but I want you to know that I truly regret it." "How is your sister's illness?" I asked. She looked up in surprise. You know. I guessed. "You said you needed money for a reason, and I think that must have been true." "Yes," she nodded. "My sister's surgery was a success, and now she's fully recovered. For the past 3 years, I've been thinking about how to make up for my mistakes, even though I may never be able to." I was silent for a moment, then said, "You know, in a way, your appearance actually helped me." "What do you mean?" "It forced me to confront the past, to re-examine my memories with Mary, and ultimately to find a way forward." I pointed to the sketches of the Rebirth series on the wall and briefly explained this new project. Luna listened quietly, a look of genuine respect in her eyes. "I'm glad you were able to find a new beginning from that nightmare," she said at last. "I hope I can find my own path to rebirth as well." As she left, she handed me a small package. "These are some simple pieces of jewelry I made in prison. The craftsmanship is rough, but each one represents my remorse and blessings. I hope you can accept them." Opening the package, I found several small trinkets handmade from fine wire and colorful glass beads. Though simple, it was clear the creator had poured their heart into them. Nicole happened to come into the studio at that moment. Seeing the trinkets, she asked curiously, "What are these?" I told her about Luna's visit. "You forgave her?" Nicole was a bit surprised. "Not exactly forgiveness," I said thoughtfully. "It's more like understanding. Everyone has their own hardships and choices. What's important is how we learn and grow from our mistakes." Nicole nodded pensively, picking up a piece of jewelry to examine it closely. "The craftsmanship is rough, but the concept is ingenious. This person seems to have a talent for design." "Perhaps," I said. "Everyone has the possibility of being reborn." On the day of the exhibition opening, numerous figures from the art and jewelry worlds gathered together. The Rebirth series received unprecedented acclaim. Critics called it a model of cross-disciplinary art, and the gallery owner was overjoyed, announcing plans for a nationwide tour. In the crowd, I saw Luna. She was dressed simply, standing quietly in a corner, admiring the exhibits. Our eyes met in the air. She nodded slightly, then walked away. "Who was that?" Nicole asked, standing beside me. "Someone searching for rebirth," I replied. Nicole seemed to understand and asked no more. We stood side by side before the pursuit, watching the blood amber refract a strange light under the lamps, like the silent burning of life's flame. "Thank you," I whispered to Nicole. "Without you, this series might never have come into being." "It was your philosophy that guided us, teacher Nicole," she replied modestly. "I was just fortunate enough to be the messenger." In that moment, I suddenly understood the true meaning of what Mary had written in her letter. Love has changed its form. Love exists not only in memory and longing, but also in inheritance and innovation, shining brightly in every spark of artistic creation. And I, at last, had learned how to begin anew after loss, to embrace rebirth while still searching. The success of the exhibition exceeded everyone's expectations. In just 1 month, the Rebirth series was reported on by major media outlets and even attracted the attention of the international art world. A renowned auction house extended an olive branch to me, hoping to include several pieces in their annual highlight auction. "This is an unprecedented opportunity," Frank said excitedly. "If the deal goes through, you'll become a top player in the contemporary art market." I wasn't particularly concerned with commercial success, but I did feel the joy of having my work widely recognized. More importantly, this series opened up a new artistic path for me, freeing me from the creative shackles of the past 3 years. Nicole benefited as well. As the project's jewelry design consultant, she received high praise from the industry. Several well-known jewelry brands reached out to her, hoping she would join their design teams. "Which offer are you planning to accept?" One night, as we were tidying up the studio together, I asked her. "To be honest, I'm still hesitating." Nicole paused her work. "These are all great opportunities, but..." "But what?" "But I want to keep working with you." She looked straight into my eyes. "Rebirth is just the beginning, isn't it?" Her candor surprised me a little. Indeed, the success of this series had opened up many new creative possibilities for us, but I wasn't sure if I should continue such a close working relationship. "You should consider your own career development," I said tactfully. "These opportunities are very rare for young designers." Nicole seemed to sense my hesitation and nodded gently. "I understand." In the days that followed, we were both busy and rarely had the chance to talk alone. A week later, Nicole told me she had decided to accept an invitation from a French jewelry brand and would be going to Paris to work for 2 years. "Congratulations," I said sincerely. "It's a very good choice." "Thank you," she replied with a smile, though a fleeting, elusive emotion flashed in her eyes. "I think this is the best arrangement for both of us." Before Nicole left, we held a small farewell party. Frank, the curator, and a few mutual friends came. The atmosphere was warm, tinged with a hint of sadness. After a few rounds of drinks, Frank found an opportunity to pull me aside. "Are you really going to just let her go like this?" "What do you mean?" I pretended not to understand. "Don't play dumb, man," Frank said bluntly. "You have feelings for her. That's obvious." "That's just professional rapport," I argued. "Is that so?" Frank looked at me meaningfully. "Then why have you been so distracted ever since she decided to go to France?" I was at a loss for words. In fact, these past few days I had indeed felt an inexplicable sense of loss, but I kept telling myself it was only because I had lost an excellent partner. "I know what you're worried about." Frank lowered his voice. "You feel like you're letting Mary down, don't you?" I remained silent. He had touched upon the deepest concern in my heart. Mary has been gone for 3 years now. Frank gently patted my shoulder. She would want you to be happy. After the party ended, I walked Nicole home. The night was tranquil as water, and the city lights flowed around us. Thank you for your help and guidance these past few months. Nicole stopped at the entrance of her apartment building. This experience has meant so much to me. I should be thanking you, I said sincerely. Without you, the Rebirth series would never have been completed. We fell into silence, as if both searching for the right words to say goodbye. My flight is the morning after tomorrow, Nicole finally said. I still have some things to take care of tomorrow. So, this is probably the last time we'll see each other. 2 years will pass quickly. I tried to make my voice sound light. Paris is a beautiful city. You'll like it there. She nodded, a complex emotion flickering in her eyes. Professor George, there's something I've always wanted to tell you, but never found the right opportunity. What is it? I chose to study jewelry design because I saw Nicole's works. She took a deep breath, or more precisely, because I saw the pieces Nicole designed for you. The way she perfectly fused love and art moved me deeply. I didn't know that, I said in surprise. I've always hoped that one day I could be like Nicole, creating art filled with emotion. Nicole continued, her words coming faster, as if afraid she might lose her courage. But now I realize that what I want even more is to create for a specific person, just like Nicole created for you. I understood her implication, and my heart suddenly began to race. Nicole, please don't respond, she gently interrupted me. I just wanted you to know before I leave. No matter how you feel right now, remember that starting over is not a betrayal of the past, but a way of cherishing life. With that, she rose up on her tiptoes and softly kissed my cheek, then quickly turned and walked into the apartment building, leaving me standing alone in the night, my mind in turmoil. After returning home, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep, replaying Nicole's words and that gentle kiss over and over in my mind. Suddenly, I remembered a small box in the study, where Mary's last complete letter was kept, a letter I had found while sorting through her belongings. But at the time, overwhelmed by grief, I never had the courage to open. Now, I finally mustered the courage to walk into the study and retrieve that delicate little box from the depths of the drawer. Inside lay a pale pink letter, bearing Mary's familiar handwriting. Dearest George, by the time you read this letter, you may find yourself at a crossroads in life, hesitating between moving forward or staying where you are. My greatest wish is that you can move bravely through life, as freely as your brush glides across the canvas. Love is not a shackle, but a liberation. Memory is not a burden, but a source of strength. If one day you meet someone who can rekindle the light in your eyes, please don't hesitate because of your longing for me. True love is wishing happiness for the other, even if there is no longer a place for oneself in that happiness. Remember, the days we loved each other were complete, with no need for regrets. And now, it's time to paint a new picture, my beloved. Forever loving you. Mary. Tears blurred my vision. It was as if Mary had foreseen my current situation and had already given me her blessing. She was always like this, always able to see further and more clearly than I could. At that moment, I made up my mind. Early the next morning, I drove straight to Nicole's apartment. Professor George? Nicole opened the door in surprise, clearly not expecting me. I have something to say to you. I looked her straight in the eyes, not as your teacher, but as George. I handed her Mary's letter. Nicole read it carefully, her expression shifting from surprise to being moved, and finally, her eyes grew moist. She truly was an extraordinary woman, Nicole said softly, handing the letter back to me. Yes, she was, I nodded. That's exactly why I believe her words. Nicole, cancel your plans for Paris. Stay and continue our collaboration, will you? Nicole looked at me in shock. Are you serious? I've never been more serious, I said quietly. Rebirth is not just the name of an artwork, it's a possibility in life. Are you willing to explore that possibility with me? Her answer was a firm embrace, warm and real, like the first ray of sunlight after a long winter. In that moment, I felt as if Mary was somewhere, smiling down on us, blessing this new beginning. Life is like that blood amber, enduring countless ages of change and sedimentation, ultimately transforming into an eternal radiance. And I, at last, understood what true pursuit is, what true rebirth means. A year later, Nicole and I unveiled our second joint project, Interwoven, at the National Art Museum. This series was even bolder and more innovative than Rebirth, blending Eastern and Western aesthetics with various art forms. Critics hailed it as a significant breakthrough in contemporary art. At the opening ceremony, Nicole held my arm as we faced the media interviews and congratulations from the audience together. She wore a simple white dress, and around her neck was the Eye of Rebirth necklace we designed together. She completed the jewelry part based on my painting. "Your collaboration seems even more in sync than your last project," a reporter asked with a suggestive smile. Nicole glanced at me, and we exchanged a smile. "Yes, both in art and in life, we've found the perfect balance." This indirect answer drew a round of good-natured laughter from the reporters present. My relationship with Nicole was no longer a secret, but we always kept a low profile, letting the public's attention remain focused on our artistic creations. After the exhibition, we drove out to a small hill in the countryside. There stood an ancient oak tree, beneath which Mary's ashes were laid to rest. This was the place we chose, rather than a traditional cemetery, natural, peaceful, just like Mary herself. "Mary, the exhibition was a great success today," I said softly to the stone beneath the tree. "Nicole's designs were admired by everyone, just as you once predicted." Nicole crouched down and placed a bouquet of white daisies in front of the stone. "Teacher Nicole, I've been working hard to become the kind of designer you hoped I would be. I hope you can be proud of me." A gentle breeze stirred, and the oak's leaves rustled softly, as if it were Mary's reply. On the way back, Nicole suddenly said, "I've been thinking about something." "What is it?" "If that woman who pretended to be Ms. Nicole hadn't appeared, you might never have found the blood amber, never created the pursuit, and we might never have met." Her words made me fall into deep thought. Indeed, it was the series of events triggered by that deception that ultimately led to everything now. It feels as if, in the unseen, some force has been orchestrating it all. "Perhaps that's the irony of fate," I said softly. "Sometimes, the worst beginnings can lead us to the best endings." When I returned home, I received an unexpected package. Upon opening it, I found a delicate little box containing a handmade ring. Though simple, the craftsmanship had improved greatly compared to the pieces I had seen before. There was a note attached. "Mr. George, thank you for your kindness and understanding a year ago, which gave me the courage to start over. Now I have found a job at a small jewelry shop, and my life is gradually getting back on track. This ring represents my gratitude, and I wish you happiness and well-being on your new path." "Luna," I handed the ring to Nicole. After examining it carefully, she remarked, "Her skills have improved a lot. She truly is talent." "Some mistakes in life shouldn't become permanent scars," I sighed. "Everyone deserves a second chance." That night, we sat in the studio, discussing ideas for the next series. Nicole suddenly proposed a bold idea. I was thinking, maybe we could try connecting the different stages of our work to create a complete narrative. From eternity to quest, then to rebirth, and intertwined, they're actually different phases in a person's life journey. "You mean?" "A complete story about loss, searching, rebirth, and integration," she explained excitedly, ultimately asking what is the most precious treasure in life. "Love." I finished her sentence. "No matter what form it takes." Nicole nodded, her eyes sparkling with creative fire. "We could call it the forms of love, an unprecedented artistic exploration." Sounds like a long-term, ambitious project. "We have time," she smiled, holding my hand. "We have so much time." In that moment, I felt a powerful surge of creative inspiration, just like when I first began my artistic career years ago, filled with passion and possibility. But this time, I was not facing the blank canvas alone. 2 years later, the Forms of Love series was exhibited simultaneously in the world's 5 greatest art museums, causing an unprecedented sensation. Critics called it a milestone in contemporary art history, blending painting, sculpture, jewelry design, and other art forms to create an entirely new artistic language. The final piece of the exhibition was titled Eternal Ring, a massive circular canvas depicting every form of love in life, familial, platonic, romantic, and the love for art itself. The edge of the canvas was inlaid with gemstones of various sizes, and under certain lighting, these gems would cast light onto specific parts of the canvas, revealing another hidden layer of patterns. The centerpiece of this work is a massive blood amber. Through intricate optical design, the light it projects perfectly outlines 2 embracing figures. One is Mary, the other is Nicole, symbolizing the intersection of past and present, the fusion of memory and rebirth. On the closing day of the exhibition, in front of the eternal ring, I knelt on one knee and proposed to Nicole. The ring was crafted from the very blood amber Mary had once prepared for me, designed by my own hand and fashioned by the finest jeweler. This ring carries the memories of the past and the hopes for the future, I whispered softly. Nicole, will you be the eternal ring in my life? Her tears sparkled under the spotlight. I will. Amidst the cheers, I remembered what Mary once said. Love does not disappear. It merely changes its form. Yes, love does not disappear. It exists in memories, in art, in every rebirth and new beginning. It traverses time and crosses space, like that blood amber which, after millions of years, still shines, forever retaining the original warmth and brilliance of life. This is the answer I have been searching for all along. Between loss and gain, between seeking and rebirth, love remains constant, only appearing in different forms along the journey of life. And all we need to do is bravely accept this gift, no matter how it comes to us. On the day of the wedding, the sky was a clear, washed blue. Beneath the ancient oak tree that had watched over Mary, we exchanged our vows. A gentle breeze stirred, making the leaves whisper as if blessings were drifting in from another world. No matter when or where, Nicole said softly, we'll always remember that it was she who brought us together. Yes, I squeezed her hand, and we will always cherish this gift. In the brilliant sunlight, the blood amber ring gleamed, radiant as life itself, enduring the passage of time, yet still shining bright.